Peace, peace. Okay.
He wants to shut down this country, and I want to keep it open. And we did a great job by shut it down. Wait a minute, Joe. Let me shut you down for a second, Joe, just for 1 second. I don't wear masks like him. Every time you see him, he's got a mask. He could be speaking 200 feet away from me, and he shows up with the biggest mask I've ever seen. You could never have done the job that we did. You don't have it in your blood. You could have never done that job. I know how to do the job. I know how to get the job. Well, you didn't. It's on the ballot in the court. I don't think so. In the court. Well, there's nothing happening there. Donald, would you don't know her now? Make sure you, in fact, let people know you're a senator. I'm not going to answer the question because the question is the radical left. Will you shut up, man? Who is on your list, Joe? Who's on your list, gentlemen? Not by much. I beat him a whole hell of a lot. I'm here standing facing you all, buddy. Pocahontas would have left 2 days early. You would have lost every prize. All he knows how to do it for Tuesday. You got very lucky. Here's the deal. I got very lucky. I'm going to get very lucky tonight as well. Mr. President, can you let him finish, sir? No, he doesn't know how to do that. He has. You know, you picked the wrong guy, the wrong night at the wrong time. Listen, you give number better health care at a much lower price. Because by the way, he doesn't know how. He doesn't know how to do that. Fixed it. He has never offered a plan. Fixed it to an extent. He has never done a single thing. No, but probably does. Gentlemen, you realize that you're both speaking at the same time. And it's too expensive. Let the president. Go ahead, sir. Many of your Democrat governors said President Trump did a phenomenal job. We worked with the governor. Oh, really? Go take a look. The governors said I did a phenomenal job. Most of them said that. No matter what you say to them, they give you bad press on it. It's just fake news. They give you good press. They give me bad press because that's the way it is, unfortunately. But let me just tell you something. I don't care. I've gotten used to it. He gets a lot smarter, a lot quicker. Mr. President, did you use the word smart? To Delaware State, but you forgot the name of your college. You didn't go to Delaware State. You graduated either the lowest or almost the lowest in your class. Don't ever use the word smart with me. Don't ever use that word. Oh, give me a break. Because you know what? There's nothing smart about you, Joe. 47 years you've done nothing. Let's have this debate.
That was hilarious, man.
Well, that's the wrong one.
That was that was hilarious. Wasn't that just hilarious, man? People in their editing software, I swear. Good times. What a time to be alive. Well, welcome everybody. Boy, do we have a discussion today. Let me introduce your host, yours truly, Dayz of Noah. Please, will you come in here, please?
Thank you. Hey. Hey. How are we tonight, guys? How are we doing? How are we all out there, wherever you are? Peace and blessings to you. Welcome back for another edition here. We're going to get into we're going to continue the Black Dysgenics, but we're going to add on War on Gen Z. So I've been working on this like War on Gen Z thing, and tonight's going to be a combination of the two. We will have their own streams focusing on particulates, etc. But today I wanted to talk a little bit about both at the same time. So yeah, man, let's get into it. Shout out to NY. We got some live footage from the Big Apple. I had Philadelphia I was going to show, but it's just kind of depressing if I'm going to be honest. Just some of the footage, just, oh man, just the fallout, you know? I didn't really want to look at that. This is a little more presentable, I guess. Shout out to the chat. Shout out to the mods, everybody who's with us today. Let's see. We're going to start off here. We're going to start off with Sexy Red. Okay. We're going to start off here with Sexy Red. And we've already kind of started this discussion, but I've been looking into it, and I really do believe that she is part of some type of boosted social engineering thing. The Ice Spice artist was, I think, part of that as well. She's kind of fallen off, though. No one's really tuning in and checking for her right now, thankfully. But Sexy Red seems to just, she's a character, you know, and I think she's naturally this way. I don't think she's an actor or anything, because she's actually been around. She's been around for a while. And she was putting out music way before she was even famous. And she's just a character, a straight up clown. So she's perfect for this role, in my view. You know, she's the perfect Zip Coon. as it were. She plays the Zip Coon very, very well, uh, and it's taken off, and she has a lot of fans, and she's influencing the younger generations, especially in the more inner city areas, especially if we want to talk about any type of quote unquote black culture, at least some semblance, some example of black peoples that are into this kind of stuff. And let's be real, we all were exposed to artists like this. When I was young, it was Adina Howard, and she was tame compared to today. Actually, she would be perceived as a classy woman compared to the stuff we see today. But Lil Kim, she was pretty raunchy, pretty damn raunchy, if I'm gonna be honest. But we've always had these kind of characters. But isn't it the case that they've like exponentially gotten worse and worse and more graphic and just disgusting and degenerate? Now there has been a lot of people speaking out against this. I have a few clips of some young women that are giving their opinions on this. And, I can't help but agree with some of what they're saying. They're getting a lot of backlash, a lot of hatred. And it's just this infighting we've always had, right? Where we're supposed to support our own no matter what. And I just think that's crazy. It's like supporting a cancer on your culture. I think it's sick. We need to be able to call this stuff out. And it goes way beyond the so-called black community. I mean, this is getting into the general population, the general pop culture. And I guess it's always been an aspect of it, but you're seeing the behavior everywhere. Recently, this young girl has gone viral, the Haktua girl. And I mean, what she said was nothing like major, but it's just the level of it's just this generalized degeneracy, this hypersexuality. I mean, everything is, it's just exaggerated. We used to talk those ways when we were young too, but today it's more graphic. And what's worse is everything becomes viral. It's a viral sensation overnight, right? So what we see is these horrible things said by young people spread all over the place, and everyone's instantly seeing them. So it becomes a household name. It's like a cultural, it's weird. It's like a cultural tattoo or something that you can't rub off. And this young girl, man, she was clearly drunk. I kind of feel bad for her. I don't know if I don't know. I don't know the whole story, but she's gone viral and people are trying to dox her. And I think people have doxed her. And I heard she lost her job. I don't know if any of this stuff is true, but it's crazy. It's like you can go from just a perfectly normal person living your life, and someone films you and puts it on Twitter or TikTok, and you just become this, meme overnight, and you can't go anywhere without being recognized and ridiculed and embarrassed and humiliated. It's actually kind of crazy. It's actually kind of crazy because you think about what this says about the culture. I look at it as a type of social sadism or Schadenfreude, where everyone is taking pleasure in the humiliation of others, all because it's funny or they want to go viral. So every individual on social media wants to boost their own virality at the expense of others' privacy and innocence. I believe she was a preschool teacher or something too. So what she said was pretty graphic. It was sexual content. They just these street interviewers. It's such a grift now. Just like the OF girls on panels. It's just such a grift. But you got guys out with these microphones everywhere asking girls, lewd and just stupid questions, and they they go to the right places for it too. They sit outside of bars and stuff. And people are intoxicated. Listen, man, I said this before, I'm so thankful we didn't have the social media stuff when we were young, because when we was falling out of clubs, tipsy, the last thing we wanted, or at least the last thing we would have wanted, is some microphones in our face and this ubiquitous social media everywhere, because we would have made a damn fool of ourselves for sure. Trust me. So I'm looking at these young people today, and this is crazy. This is like Orwellian mind control and subjugation to like this type of social sadism and cancel culture. Yeah, sounds like Girls Gone Wild stuff, Kyoko. That's so funny. Yeah, man, exactly. Exactly. And we did something on that years ago. I was relating that to reality television and the beginning of sex tapes. And I was talking about Pamela Anderson and, of course, what's her name? The Hilton girl, Paris Hilton, and then into the Kardashian tape. And I was referencing Girls Gone Wild because it was kind of this first, it was an early representation of this type of real girls doing real bad things, and in VHS form. And the way I built into that was we were talking about Jerry Springer, and we kind of started off with talk shows. You guys remember this, those that have been around. And I was going from like Jerry Springer into this kind of like mass produced sexual, like soft porn tapes showing young girls, revealing themselves and everything. And yeah, it's interesting when you look back. This stuff has always kind of existed, but what has changed? What has made it so much more significant? The level and degree of technology, right? When we think about the massive capture, the massive use, adoption of this tech, its availability, but also its speed, right? The way our phones now are access to the internet, so we can see anything at any time. So it's taken the bad stuff we've kind of always had and just increased it tenfold. And these poor kids now are being embarrassed and humiliated overnight. And I guess the good thing about it is our attention span is like so short that people forget about it in a couple weeks or a couple months. So this Haktua girl will probably be able to go back to her normal life eventually. And some of them are riding this thing out and starting careers, like the girl who said the N-word in the kitchen. She's now like some like Republican new right. Oh, actually, I have the clip. I kind of want to play it. It doesn't really fit. Maybe I should save it, but basically she's trying to start a new middle. It's not far right, it's not far left. It's like this kind of Republican, lukewarm, centrist, normie position. It's really funny how this is happening. We'll talk about that soon. I have a lot to say about that. Plus, I have a lot of references. So let's get into this. Let's get into this sexy red stuff, man.
For my favorite gun, I love the way that it sound. Go to the gun range, let off round by round. Got home wifey, got pasta ready, it's going down. We got 4 kids, she never left Pound Town. Said she read was cool till she was in prison with a bunch of niggas behind her, and she was pregnant, half naked. You don't understand the imagery, you don't understand Instagram. You probably don't give a damn, or Snapchat or TikTok. You wasting your time. Check the Rollie, check the AP, you might lose your mind.
By the way, I want to put this out now, man. I really couldn't get all of like the edits and everything, and I got a lot of clips, and I just didn't have time. So this is definitely parental advisory, explicit content tonight. And especially on this channel, we're going to be a little bit more adult as far as topics, culture, politics. We tend to go into things that aren't necessarily for children. So this channel is definitely kind of that after hours style. So there will be some language. I just want to put a warning out now for anybody who doesn't want to hear curse words, and people who might have children, etc. Because these people today, man, and listen, I used to talk like this when I was younger, so I can't really, you know what I'm saying? I can't really say a whole lot. But today, man, no one holds their tongue anymore. So I'm just letting y'all know now. So forgive me, but let's do this. Hold on. Let me pull this. So first off, let me just show you a clip here of Sexy Reg. She has a She has a lip gloss brand. And I think this is a really good clip just to set it off so you can see how wild this woman really is. And she's a character. Don't get me wrong. She's a character, but it's, I don't know. Let me just shut up and show you this, man. All right.
Names for my lip gloss is something that nobody would have ever thought of. I got one called Nut, and it's the color of some nut. I got one called Gonorrhea. It's green like gonorrhea. I got one called Yellow Discharge, like how girls be having yellow discharge. Booty hole pink, booty hole brown, coochie juice. And coochie juice is clear with silver glitter. It's cute, like the cute.
I mean, like, seriously. I know she's trying to play this shock value thing, but who's going to, like, seriously not only want to purchase but put on some brown lip gloss that's called booty hole brown? What did she say?
And coochie juice is clear with silver.
Coochie juice. Who wants to put silver glitter coochie juice on their lips? I'm just saying.
Glitter. It's cute, like the cute, and it smells good. And it's so, like, you know, people gonna talk but other people was like, you is a marketing genius, because the sold so fast. And it smell good too. I be thinking of all out the box. It's not even on purpose. It's just like my brain helped me think outside the box to do some crazy shit.
Yeah, I mean, that's obvious. That's clearly it's outside of the box, but I just wanted to like open it with that so you can get an idea of how wild this woman really is, man. And let me see here. Now, here's another clip where she goes into some personal history about catching an STD. And I want to show you this clip to present the degeneracy that we have in the culture today, especially by way of young, influential women. Now, we already know Gen Z is under attack socially, culturally, technologically, and economically, far worse than the millennials were. So we understand the last thing they need are these types of messages, especially messaging from like very influential women. And unfortunately, not to say you don't see these messages in other groups, but man, it's horrible, the stuff that's coming out of the quote unquote Black cultural movements, at least the popular ones. Okay. And there's this girl named she used to work on the Breakfast Club, something Lee, I can't remember her name, but she has a new podcast and it's just disgusting. I've watched it. I don't know how I got through it, but I watched it a couple times and just the topics are so disgusting, man. I mean, they want to raise whores from Babylon, the Babylon whores, man, I'm telling you. And we're going to go into that too, because I think a lot of this is related to the woman in the red dress and the whore of Babylon. Anyhow, let me just show you this. Yeah. Engagement farming, that's another one, mastermind. Absolutely. It plays a big role in this for sure. Good point. Yes, Regmon. Good to see you, bro, Reg. Perfectly stated. And I think this is my underlying message, culturally speaking. The culture needs to turn away from this foolishness, right? It's already the case. A lot of people outside of this culture are turning away from it, but Black folks in general need to boycott this type of stuff. I don't give a damn. You know, all skin folk ain't kinfolk, man. Like, seriously, we need to start paying more attention to that.
Craziest thing I ever said in the song is a lyric I said, damn, this nigga burn me pussy smoking like a seed. What the fuck? It's real life. They act like this shit is not going on in the world.
Yeah. Right, but women, like, it's the no sugarcoating anything about nothing for me. Like, I love it.
And it's this whole thing about keeping it real, which is a detrimental cultural artifact that we have. It's like, you have to keep it real. And I just like to know, what does she say? No sugar coating.
I love it. The realness.
That's how it gotta be. That's the truth.
And it's like there's a problem with that when you're influencing young girls, right? We don't need to know all this TMI, you know. And this what did what's his name? Dave Chappelle said when Was it when being real goes wrong? Or what was that skit? Oh no, when keeping it real. When keeping it real goes wrong. That was so good, man. He was way ahead of his time.
That's what I want to be when I grow up.
Go
Free.
So
No,
free
that's
like
how I
that.
am, like,
Yeah. Remember OJ Baster? He was like, I got burnt by gonorrhea twice.
No, I ain't never had. I had chlamydia before though twice.
Okay.
But I ain't never had.
That's the most
Pretty
common.
Yeah, very common.
This what happened. Me and my nigga was together, and we broke up because he was cheating on me. So then we broke up. Then I went and did me. Then he did him, and then we missed each other, came back together.
Something went right.
We both was like, "What the fuck is this smell?"
Oh shit!
Wow. I mean, wow. Is this stuff millions? I don't think she gets millions of viewers, but she's very, very famous, especially in the culture. So, is this the message we want out there? And let's be real. It's not like they, especially this woman here, and most of these artists, it's not like they have a whole lot in their head to talk about. Okay, it's not like they have a whole lot to share. I understand they're limited in that capacity, but this is just disgusting.
Like, what's going on? So
Did y'all
then
go
we
to the
both
doctor
went to the
together?
doctor. Yeah, went to the doctor together. And then we both was like, "Well, you fuck two people," and he like, "You fuck two people too." I'm like, well, "We don't know who did it. We still don't know."
Did y'all
who
call
did
the
it.
people that y'all?
She said, "We still don't know who did it." And listen to what she says here. It's funny.
Still don't know
Did y'all
who
call
did
the
it.
people that y'all was with and let them know that something went right?
I think I know who did it.
So clearly she didn't. She didn't even answer that because she knows that's just nasty. And it's like, yeah, this is gross. This is TMI. It's like, really? But the point is, why are you running around like this? What kind of example is this for young girls? You know? And some people say, I've heard this, why everybody ganging up on Sexy Red? You look at what a lot of these male artists are doing, you know, we get into the whole feminism thing. I get that too. You know, and anybody can get it. We talk about the drill rap. We talk about the drug culture. We talk about the roles men play in this. But listen, man, I think it's real and legit. Women control the culture. They really do. They have the biggest influence, right? And, you know, Tupac might have been right when he said, if you want to be successful, make things for women. You know, maybe that is the case. When we think of fashion, when we think of trends, who runs and controls the trends? Women. They are very influential. Most men live their lives for women. I mean, look at the red pill. Look at the manosphere. It's all centered on women and what women are doing, what women are thinking. So you have to accept the fact that women have crazy power in the world, crazy influence, right? So I think it's something to consider. We got to hold, just like we hold our men, we got to hold our women accountable as well, right? And not let the spirit of feminism, you know, hide the importance of that. All right, now let me find this other clip here. Now, I found this today. This is a very recent clip and kind of sparked some ideas. Now, the way this woman is speaking, she's very vulgar, okay? I don't necessarily like how she's talking. I wish I could have edited this out. But this is just raw feelings about who Sexy Red is. And again, I know the whole engagement farming is big too, right? That was a very, very good point in this day of social media and attention economy. It's so important to remember a lot of the stuff people are posting today is to farm engagement and to, in a sense, conjure a reaction. So I do get that. But what she's saying, I think has merit. And I wish more women were speaking out. Maybe not using the same words, but I wish more women were speaking out like this young woman here.
I hate that bitch Sexy Red. I promise you, I hate that girl. I hate her. I hate her. I wish somebody would make a diss record against her ass. I think I'm about to write a diss. I don't like that bitch. I don't like her at all. Like, she be single-handedly playing in y'all face. And I said to myself, who the fuck is her fan base? This is why I hate when y'all listen to her music. Like, y'all keep saying, like, yeah, man, but the beat hit. I don't give a fuck how much the motherfucking beat hit. Let me tell you something. Every time I hear that bitch in my motherfucking car, I turn her shit off because I know she detrimental to the black community. I know she motherfucking influencing young girls to pop they pussy open for a baby. I know that's what that bitch doing. And in the same breath, she's influencing these young girls to be ratchet, nasty, and trifling. And then she's telling y'all that y'all got carpet hair. So not only is she's influencing y'all to do that, but she's also insulting y'all at the same time. I hate that bitch. I promise you. I hate the fact that social media make everybody famous. I hate this. That's why every time I see one of my sisters going in on that bitch, I repost, share, like, comment as much as I motherfucking can. As much as I can. If y'all women up here got younger girls, okay, and within their teenage years, please talk to your girls. Please talk to your teenagers about this bitch. Make sure you tell them that this is not the way to go, because that's her fan base. Because everybody that I talk to don't really like her. So I be trying to figure out who is her fan base.
This is a good point too, right? And this is related to my reference to some type of social engineering or boosting, because I don't know a whole lot of people that actually like her. And I have friends that are all the way in this world still. And none of them like anything about her. So the question is, who are the fans? And I think there are a lot of young girls are the fans online and out in them streets. And that's a problem. We need to ask who is really listening and paying to listen and paying to support and, you know, giving this energy. Who?
It's these younger girls. It's these younger girls with family. She is going to tear y'all daughter's self-esteem down. Keep fucking letting your daughter listen to this. I'm finna say some crazy shit.
As if she didn't already.
Keep letting your daughter listen to this bitch and see what happens. She gonna tear your daughter's self-esteem down piece by piece. Sexy Red is making a mockery out of black girls' hair and saying it looks like carpet and saying that it's unattractive, along with turning your daughter into whores. I hate this bitch.
Yeah, and you know, these kind of cultural issues have always existed, and this self-hatred and these types of things, and they only increase with the messaging from these artists. So not only is Sexy Red presenting this degenerate, hypersexual, just bizarre gutter message and presentation, but she's also kind of revitalizing a lot of old self-hating tropes, right? Now, it's not, well, let's continue here. I did have another clip to build off of this with other artists. This artist, Ariana Grande, recently was on a talk show, and she was talking about how someone asked her a question like, if you could meet like a famous person or something, who would it be? And this girl said Jeffrey Dahmer. And I wanted to use that clip as just a reference. Like, it's not just this kind of quote unquote black cultural music, but it's just these entertainers, right? It's these young, degenerate entertainers across the board. And she was going on about how like Jeffrey Dahmer, it seemed like he'd be an interesting guy. Now, you guys remember, those that have been around, we did an entire series on hybristophilia, which is this condition where women are attracted to murderers and psychopaths. And it was a perfect example of that. Like, you got millions of young girls listening to you. The first thing you're going to come out here and say is you want to meet Jeffrey Dahmer? It's just so crazy. It's like, that's sick. Like, I get the sexual stuff and the kind of dirty stuff with the Sexy Red bit, but she's talking about meeting someone who eats people. It's just weird. Actually, I'm going to show you guys the clip. I'm going to pull it up here in a minute. Matter of fact, let me just do that right now. Let me pull up this keyboard here. I'm going to just pull this up, man. Let me pull this up. This is crazy, man. I just sourced it earlier and I had put it in a folder, so let me try to find it here. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Where is it? Is this it? I think this is it.
Years ago, before the Dahmer series, before it was in a Q&A with fans, with young fans. It was young fans at the time. It was like, I think it was like in between, like me being Cat and Pop stuff. So it was like a younger group. But it was with a parent. Someone said, if you could have dinner with anyone living or dead, who would it be? And I was like, oh, you're so cute. Who, Mom and Dad, is it okay if I give the real answer? And they were like, sure, I guess. What's the answer? And I was like, I mean, Jeffrey Dahmer's pretty fascinating. I think I would have loved to have met him.
Like, for real?
Like, you know, maybe with a third party or something involved. But I have questions. I have a lot to. I don't. Jeffrey Dahmer's pretty fascinating. I think I would have loved to have met him.
Come on, like seriously?
And they were like, sure, I guess. What's the answer? And I was like, I mean, Jeffrey Dahmer's pretty fascinating. I think I would have loved to have met him. Wow. Like, you know, maybe with a third party or something involved. But
I mean, seriously, they're laughing at that. And I get it. They're live, right? It's like live. They kind of got to do that whole live broadcasting, keep things cool kind of scenario. I get it. But this is unacceptable.
I have questions. I have a lot to. I don't know. I would love to. And the parents were like,
love to ask him what, girl? I mean, he's eating people. He would drug men at gay nightclubs and bring them home, seduce them, and eat them. Well, I guess, of course, expire them or delete them, then eat them and freeze dry them or package them up and keep them in his refrigerator. What would you what could you possibly have to ask the man?
We'll explain it later, sweetheart. And I was like, so I'll just.
I mean, I actually have the I have the whole interview here, but maybe we don't need to go through all that. But I just wanted to show it as evidence. Like this is actually kind of crazy. It's actually kind of crazy. So it goes to show we have a pandemic of weird sociopathic, narcissistic, social engineering artists. Okay. Now, for those that don't know who the Haktua girl is, this is who she is. This isn't the original video. I'm not going to show it. But this is who she is. This is a little edit here of who she is for those that don't know who she is.
Oh, you gotta give it that. Spit on that thing. Oh, you gotta give it that.
All right, man. All right. I'm going to keep it moving. I thought that was actually kind of funny. But yeah, that poor girl, she's all over the internet, man. People are stalking her. I think she lost her job, and it's all because she wanted to be a little pervert on camera. But you know what? She was drunk, so I'll give her that. I don't think she was even thinking that this was going to go viral on YouTube or TikTok or anything like that. So I'll give her the benefit of the doubt. Poor girl. I actually really feel bad for her, honestly, because people are just going crazy. They're making hats. Guys, people are making hats. I'm seeing people wearing Haktua hats, Haktua 2024. They're like merging it because it's a conservative thing. And that's what's kind of weird. These conservative right-wing people promoting this degeneracy. It's like this weird MAGA Haktua girl connection. It's so strange to me. Anyhow, check out this clip here. This is, I guess Sexy Red got kicked out of a school. She was going to perform at a school. At a school. It's crazy. Like, why would you have this woman performing at a school? So, and she gets kicked out. And I'm just showing you who this woman is. And again, she's an industry celebrity. She could be acting. I don't think she's acting. I think this is who she really is, personally.
Look, so this school put me, I came up here, got you, trying to talk to the kids, getting the word of the day, they gonna put me on me. Tell me I smell like weed, watch this. He gonna try to get mad. Fuck that old man. Bitch, you're nobody.
Bitch, like I'm finna sit with y'all.
They ain't come to see you, Otis.
Otis?
Bitch. You heard who they screaming for? Hi, y'all.
They could
bro, me fuck my head up.
They put us out.
And this dude, he's like, look, this is crazy. I cannot believe this. Absolutely wild. So, just giving some background on this girl before we get into the clips. Now, this girl has a point here. And, you know, people are dragging her in the comments. This clip I'm getting ready to show you here. They were dragging her because of the way she's dressed. Now, all right, she's showing some shoulders, you know, a little bit of cleavage, all right. It's not like super crazy, yeah, skin tight. It's not modest by any means, but this is not a Christian woman, obviously. Or at least I wouldn't consider a Christian woman dressing like this. But again, we're in 2024. Anyhow, I think she has some good points. And it's messages like these that need to become more popular in the quote-unquote culture, I think. And again, you know, it's not as if we agree with everything, but they are points that should be considered, at least in a more mainstream kind of way, opposed to the sexy red perspective being the mainstream view.
Y'all call it the Meg Thee Stallion challenge, but to be honest, I think it's just yet another way for women to devalue themselves.
And she's referring to the Meg Thee Stallion challenge, but they're all the same. Meg Thee Stallion, Ice Spice, Sexy Red. They're all the damn same. They all got the same messages. They're all promoting the same image and symbol.
And ladies, I'm not gonna hold y'all. At this point, it's given tacky and it's given classless. I think I speak for pretty much everybody when I say we're tired of seeing it. It's played out. There is no reason why we should log onto social media and at the top part where it says stories, there's nothing but a bunch of naked women, half-naked women, thongs, panties, short shorts, twerking and showing their ass. For what? What is y'all doing this for? Likes? Attention? Validation? If I'm not mistaken, y'all just did this a few months ago.
Thank you, Erica. Good to see you, by the way. It was a twerk off challenge. Yes. Yeah, this is a pretty old clip, I think, maybe from last year. But yeah, stuff like that. Is that what we need to be doing? Is that the stuff we need to be spreading around to young kids? Because that's who's on this stuff for the most part. The young kids, man. We need to, and I know it's ideal, right? These artists don't give a crap, man. But we, the normal folks, need to speak up is my point.
Y'all had a whole challenge where y'all called it the ceiling challenge, where y'all was taping y'all phones to the ceiling and y'all was twerking upside down. We done seen y'all ass from every single angle possible. We get it. Then y'all say, oh, it's just the internet. It's not a real place. This is a real place. Y'all.
Very, very important point, right? Virtuality isn't reality, but it doesn't mean it doesn't have a strong influence on what happens in reality, right? Very important to remember that, because a lot of people use that excuse. Oh, it's just the internet. You know, oh, it's just social media. It's like, no, that's the world now. That's reality today.
I don't care how y'all perceive yourselves. Y'all don't care that what y'all look like. You know what this looks like? It looks classless and it looks tacky as hell. Most of y'all are moms. Y'all don't care what y'all kids think. Y'all don't care what y'all kids might look like. Y'all don't care about y'all image to them.
Very good point, Oscar. Don't call these talentless people artists, please. Point taken. Yes.
Y'all talking about a challenge? Challenge yourself to be a better mom. Challenge yourself to be a better woman. Challenge yourself to be a better sister, a better auntie. Go challenge yourself to read a book. Challenge yourself in ways that's healthy for you. Y'all want to keep getting up here selling yourselves short for likes and attention for what? I'm not saying you gotta be a nun, baby. I show skin. I'm not a nun. I still have fun with my girls. I still be outside. I do all of that. But it's never been about what you do. It's how you do it. Men used to have to go to a strip club to see stuff like this. to fantasize about stuff like this, to desire women to move in certain ways like this. But now all they got to do, the whole world is a stage at this point. All they got to do is log on to social media and it's a million girls shaking their ass, doing all type of stuff, trying to outdo each other.
Message.
Cause who y'all doing it for? Oh, we ain't doing this for the man. Who you doing it for then? Trying to outdo each other. Cause who y'all doing it for? Oh, we ain't doing this for the man. Who you doing it for then? Y'all gotta stop and think, man. Cause it's not giving what y'all think is giving. It's giving very low quality. No man of high quality, the man that y'all desire, the man that y'all swear y'all want, I promise you, he gonna treat you nothing like what you want to be treated like, because no man wants to see a woman up there or a woman up there that he looking at to pursue in a serious way, shaking her ass 24/7 on the internet like that.
Message.
Y'all want to be quick to say we not doing it for the man, but baby, one day you gonna want a man and he not gonna want you. Because in 2024, you up there shaking your ass for likes and attention. It's not that deep, man. I don't know if y'all lacking some type of self-esteem or what, man. But y'all gonna have to pull back and reevaluate some stuff. It's not cute no more, y'all. It's played out. Stop. Please stop.
You know, it would be great if this message she's putting out here became a movement in the culture. Like, seriously. You know, girls, women got together and said, you know what? This has to stop. And it's like this kind of like self-destruction movement. Y'all remember back in 88, I think it might have been a self-destruction movement that was going on. You're headed for self-destruction. And it's like the culture was getting together and saying, you know what, guys, we can't be promoting these messages. Now, it didn't last too long, by the way. But man, that would be great if, yes, especially young women, right? Because unfortunately, the generations are so divided now. Say the older millennial women and Gen Xer women were to speak to the Gen Z women, they probably wouldn't even want to hear them, like, at all. So though that would be the proper way to go about it, it's just not very realistic, right? But wouldn't it be cool if like young girls started getting together and having more of a modesty kind of movement, and that would use the degenerate culture like the Sexy Reds today as an image that like bears disgusting just value, right? So everyone could just turn away, like a real cultural movement. I don't think it could happen outside of the faith, but you know, if we're going to be idealistic about it, it would be pretty cool, man. And I support this message. I really do support her message. And the thing is, people are dragging her. I mean, it's just like, although, you know, a lot of people are supporting her, a lot of people are just dragging her and like just making every possible excuse in the world. You know, oh, you're just a hater. That's what it is every time. Oh, you're just a hater. It's like, no, hating what? Now, this one I thought was interesting here. This one speaks a little bit more to my view on this. Is Sexy Red a plant? Now, I don't think she's a plant because she's been around for quite some time, but I think she had been discovered and boosted, right? It's not like she started off as a plant, but she became very useful to the machine. Check this one out.
You cannot convince me otherwise that Sexy Red is not an industry plant that was put here to help finalize the destroying of the black woman image. They was already had us under attack, and she was here to just finalize the process. The way they trying to force her on us is just crazy. Like, I wanted to go see Drake, but once I found out Drake had her opening for him, absolutely not. Absolutely not am I gonna support anything that thing is behind. I'm not supporting it, right? This is the reason why it's time to separate. It's time to separate as black women, because ain't no way I'm about to be associated with that and Suki Stankiana. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. I don't care how you feel. I don't care how you feel. At this point, separation has to happen. It's one thing to make trashy music. That is a different level of trash. That's a different level of trash. Kaya's
that's a different level of trash, and I agree. It's different. It hit different.
My neck, my back, it was bad. Trina and Trick Daddy's, you know, Nan, it was bad. But that's a different level of dirty stank music, right? It's just a different level. Like, it ain't never been that bad. There is lyrically nothing that this woman is saying. She's just saying a bunch of vulgar, disgusting, nasty stuff. It's not even music, right? And this is why I know that she's an industry plant. It is not music at this point. Right? It's just seeing how much nasty, vulgar stuff she can come up with out of her mouth and how disgusting and distasteful she could present herself in public to help destroy the black woman image. Right? Trying to portray it as if we all Pookeishas. And if you don't think that this is successful, just look at what hip hop and stuff did to black men and how it had people stereotyping black men as criminals and thugs, right? Even to this day, black men are still fighting to get away from that stereotype. But as of now, black women are under attack because this Pookeisha image that's being pushed is what they trying to define us by. You ain't gonna define me by that. I ain't got nothing to do with that. If they want to be ratchet, stank, ghetto, promote that, do you, right? And the sector of girls who fall under that category and that aesthetic, have fun with it. I don't want no parts.
I agree. I wouldn't say the have fun with it part. I get her view. I get it. Because she understands there's not much she can do about it. She just like, we're going to separate. That's it. There's no fixing this. We just have to separate. That's an ongoing theme in many parts of the cultural issues we're having today. People just realize we just got to pack up and go. And again, all skin folk ain't kinfolk. It's true. And this goes across the board. It shows you can't always think from this kind of racial lens, because that's what gets you trapped up in the programming. Because see, the social engineering, the media, right? The industries, they create these like racial, cultural boxes. And they do it through the artists. They do it through the music. So yeah, sometimes you do just have to separate and say, you know what, we're going a different direction. I just wish this was more popular of an idea, because these industries wouldn't survive. Now let's be real here. Let's add to this. It isn't like the main portion of the support are black people. Okay, we understand that non-black, quote unquote, people are the largest supporters of the industry. If we look at the statistics and if we look at who buying and paying for the stuff and streaming the stuff. So that brings a whole new problem to the table. Some of us ain't got nothing to do with this. You know what I'm saying? So it's frustrating, but I like where she's going with this. And I wouldn't be surprised for a second if Sexy Red was a plant. The only reason I'm considering that she became useful later is because she's been around for quite some time and was nobody for quite some time. I remember when she first started dropping tapes and no one gave a crap who she was. She wasn't getting boosted or anything. But someone had mentioned something really important here that I want to speak to. Shout out to Valar. Good to see you, by the way. I think that was her comment here. Let me run this back. Yes, Sexy Red, Ice Spice, Glorilla. Yeah, she's definitely a plant. Megan Thee Stallion, all plants. I agree, right? I definitely agree. Ice Spice for sure. I mean, it's just obvious. Glorilla, definitely a plant. Megan Thee Stallion, definitely a plant. Yeah, I mean, we might as well put them all in the same category. They're all a bunch of plants, basically. And if not, they're being used as plants, right? So yeah, when keeping it real goes wrong. Shout out to Speak Uneasy, man. Yeah, I like her vibe too. I must admit, and she's cute as well. But you know, let's keep it moving here. Now, and she had mentioned, you know, the masculine energy, the masculine messages in the music as well. Right? When we think of the violence, when we think of the drug culture, okay. Young Thug clone. Yeah, Young Thug, I think he is a plant too. I always thought he was a plant. Right when he first started blowing up, I thought he was a plant because Young Thug introduced that like kind of that zesty vibe, you know, calling his homies babe and stuff. It's just weird, man. It's like, what are you even talking about? Wearing dresses on painting your fingernails, and now that's a thing. Now I understand that goes back to like the metal and rock and punk and goth. I get it. You know what I'm saying? I understand where that comes from. that's just really the younger generations getting inspired by gothic and post-punk and stuff like that. You got the little Uzi Verts who listen to Suicide and all of these like old bands, and they get influenced, you know, the G.G. Allens and all of that. I know where that stuff comes from, but in the quote unquote black culture, hip hop culture, that's always been perceived as something that's legitimately gay, right? So it does kind of get mixed up in it all. But I definitely, yeah, that Young Thug. I'm sorry. I know he was he got a lot of fans. I never liked his music, not for a second. I couldn't stand his voice. I couldn't stand the way he was using. He just was doing tweaking some weird thing with the the auto tune. It just sounded like psyop music to me. And what was that? A lifestyle. He sounded like the.
But a lifestyle.
Lifestyle. I don't even know how the song went.
Man, it's just, I hated that crap. Like, what is this, man? What are these young whippersnappers listening to today? I turned that on and it almost blew my eardrums out. Couldn't believe it. People like this stuff. And now we got Candace Owens. Yeah, it's always been Rainbow. Seriously. It's always been Rainbow. That's a fact. I mean, if we go back to the early 80s, man, and I hate to disrespect, but man, they was wearing all types of leotards and jumpsuits and, knee-high boots and all of that, man. Don't make me pull up some pictures, man. Brother Theo's been dropping bombs on that stuff for years. We already know. And now we got Candace Owens really dropping bombs now, and I think that's by design. No disrespect to the woman, but I think I don't know. I'm not gonna say much. I just find it interesting the way she's talking all this stuff about the tiny hats and exposing stuff we've been saying for years. It's just interesting. But I have a couple clips here that I think speak to what we're getting at here, and these clips are with Destiny, probably the biggest degenerate you'll find on the internet, I'd say. Outside of, say, black culture, hip hop culture, part of this kind of hyper progressive leftist streamer culture that's just as degenerate, right? It's just coming from a different angle. It's presented in a fresh, young, hip kind of way that the general population can, I guess, identify with a lot better than, say, a Sexy Red. But all the messages are the same. This dude Destiny is like a total degenerate. Right. He's just passing his wife off to other guys, and she ended up leaving him, by the way. And it's just this dude's disgusting. So she had a conversation with him, and it was kind of funny. And I want to play the clip where she just rips him a new one, and it's entertaining. But she has a good point here where she's talking about the song WAP, and she's saying how basically her view is they're pushing this music. It's like a social engineering degeneracy movement, which I agree with 100%. And this degenerate Destiny is trying to make excuses. And I want to play that short clip here. It's like 30 seconds. I'll play this one first. Hold on, let me pull this up. I'm sorry for the quality. It's actually really bad quality, but it's the best clip I could find without actually cutting it out of the entire podcast.
I feel like there are a lot of market forces at work that kind of perpetuate this and keep this happening.
So this is his whole argument. He's like, no, and you already know how this goes with these normies. No, it's not some type of engineered operation. It's just market forces, guys. It's the economy. It's what the customer wants. Well, don't you think what the customer wants is engineered over time? Silly.
And that feels pretty satisfying to me to explain what's going on. So when we ask why is it a woman twerking with somebody's face in her butt cheeks, because for whatever reason that's what the worldwide culture seems to want to see right now.
That's what the worldwide culture wants to see right now. I wonder why they want to see that. I wonder why. Do we got to go all the way back to J-Lo, Jenny from the Block, where a lot of this booty worship started? Don't make me go back to Sir Mix-a-Lot, because we've been there and we will do it again if we have to.
So when we ask why is it a woman twerking with somebody's face in her butt cheeks, because for whatever reason that's what the worldwide culture seems to want to see right now. And then on the other side, it feels like from people, I don't want to just say conservatives, but I would say broadly speaking, I guess I'll say on your side in general, it feels like there's this idea that there's this much more intentional or like malevolent force working behind the scenes.
Yes, there is. And
yes, yes, there is. I love it. Yes, absolutely, there is. He's like, no, well, it seems like you're implying there's some type of malevolent force. Well, what do you think, man? Of course there is. Well, it just seems like, a malevolent force, and I just think it's market forces. There's nothing malevolent about it. It's simple economics. Simple economics. And then she just rips him one here. I love this clip.
30, how old are you? You're 35 years old.
Yep.
Okay, so what is that? What do
I do?
Like if you were 20
well, let's
and
say
you were
I'm a
saying this
millionaire,
stuff.
I travel the world, I get to research and talk about whatever I want, I get to talk to cool people like you and other people, I live in Miami in a high rise.
This dude is so disgusting. There's very few people I despise, but he's one of them.
For 5,000 a month, I mean, I think my life is pretty okay. I mean, what do you...
But I'm saying, like, what are you doing when you're trying to sell to people that, being a hoe is cool, smoking pot, saying...
I don't necessarily think that being a hoe is cool.
Are you going to age out of that?
Burden him down live on his own stream. Are you going to age out of that, Mr. 35?
Like you and other people, I live in Miami in a high rise for 5,000 a month. I mean, I think my life is pretty okay. I mean, what do you...
But I'm saying, like, what are you doing when you're trying to sell to people that, being a hoe is cool, smoking pot, saying...
I don't necessarily think that being a hoe is cool.
Are you going to age out of that? Because you're a 35-year-old man, right? And you're kind of doing the, like, I'm a college dorm kid and I'm trying to make everything sound cool. But
She's too good. I don't care what people say. This is gold.
35-year-old man, right? And you're kind of doing the, like, I'm a college dorm kid and I'm trying to make everything sound cool. But I just want to point out the fact that you're a 35-year-old man and your words should matter and they should have weight. Like I said, if you were 20, I'd be like, I get it. When you're 35, say things with conviction. Say things that have meaning.
Plenty of things with conviction, yes.
And
like when I asked you, what would you recommend to a woman at 25 and 30? I didn't just start rambling about what a 20-year-old should do and how biologically blah, 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 blah. I would say exactly what I would tell a woman at 25 or 30.
Yeah, I know, but your behavior, and I will appreciate that people that are younger won't understand what I'm saying until you hit 35, which is, I'm going to be 35 this year.
Okay.
You're acting like you're a college dorm kid.
Yeah, and your catty insults towards people online make you seem like a high school mean girl. Okay. I mean, like, what do you mean?
Wow, really? The comparison. Like you're pushing like teenage, not even teenage, but like young adult degeneracy as a 35-year-old male, right? And she's actually speaking truth, I would argue, regarding the culture. And you're calling her a mean girl. I thought this dude was like smart and logical and stuff. What's going on here?
I mean, like we all have our things.
But you're selling to them things that aren't good. So
what do you think I'm selling to them?
If you were a 25-year-old,
good?
like when I'm on the Whatever podcast and I'm surrounded by women that are in their 20s and they're saying like, the whole life is good. The reason why I said to that girl that I'm going to pray for you is because I know that she's going to have a different perspective when she's older. So I'm not upset by that. I don't feel like that needs to be attacked when those young girls are around me and we're talking about all of these topics. When I'm sitting with a 35-year-old man, okay? And
what do you think I'm selling people?
And you know better, okay?
Wait, what do you think I'm selling people?
Well,
do you think I'm telling people to be a hoe?
What I said when you were defending the lifestyle of being a hoe, why are you doing that?
I don't think I defend the lifestyle of being a hoe.
You did. You did a whole video basically saying that none of my points of me trying to tell these women that they, essentially, you can do something better. You don't have to sell your body. This was your like snazzy video comeback to it. Why are you making a comeback? Yes, you can make a video and be like, why can't someone do heroin? But why would you as a 35-year-old man want to sell something to someone or make it seem okay or cool or relevant when you know it's harmful to them? I don't get that because of your age.
So, just like kind of
I don't tell people that they have to do a particular thing, but if I see somebody that's doing heroin, I'm not going to be like, it is whatever, and it's just like whatever. You're just
do you think that heroin is comparable to recreational sex?
I am, quite frankly, I actually think a woman, as the one that I sat across from when you were critiquing this video, who says that she slept with up to, 20 men per night? Yeah, it's just as bad. And I know that has to be hurting her soul. So I look at her as a human being.
Hurting her soul? What if she just has a different lifestyle than you?
Doesn't.
Completely. No, she does. No,
what do you mean?
What if she just has a different lifestyle than you? What if she just likes to, spend numerous nights with numerous amounts of people. I mean, what, dude?
I always knew there was something special about that boy.
Jeez, this guy is on one.
You know, she's telling you, she was very honest actually, and that's why I appreciate her, because she was very honest that for her it is just about money. Okay, but when I see that individual, when a young woman is saying that she'll sleep and see up to 10 to 20 clients per night, that's a broken individual. And it's just as
Facts. He calls it just a type of lifestyle. Lifestyle. No, it ain't a lifestyle. It's not an alternative. All right. It's a pathology. Speak to it.
money.
This is
okay.
crazy.
But when I see that individual, when a young woman is saying that she'll sleep and see up to 10 to 20 clients per night, that's a broken individual. And it's just as
And they're
when you
broken
just as when you
because
see
why?
somebody who says that, you know, they're doing heroin or doing this, they don't need the guy, the cool guy at the party to be like, yeah, man, it's whatever. Like, it's like, no, you actually like structure. You need somebody to say to you, you don't have to do this. There's so much better potential within you. You are young. You have your entire life ahead of you. Let's figure out what it is that you're great at. I understand the economic concerns. It's a really tough economy and it's easy money, but there's other things that you can do to make money that will give you better self-value. And so that's why I say that I think that what you're doing as a 35-year-old man is you're lying.
Oh, damn. Yeah, you're lying, bro. You are lying. I love it. She ripped him a new one there. What a great clip, man. That's classic. He never recovered from that either. I think that might have been right before his his poly wife left him. And you know, I don't care if that sounds insensitive. The dude is disgusting. All right, the dude is disgusting. Now, I'm gonna show you a little meme here. It's supposed to be funny. It's actually pretty degenerate, but this is the perfect example of the young culture today. That Destinies and the sexy reds, it is this type of culture that we're dealing with. We go from like faith and truth and God and purpose, meaning, value, right? Obedience, humility. Right? We go from these things, gratitude, the fruits of the spirit. We go from these things to this new type of religion. And this is the type of religion that these degenerates create. And sorry for the language here, but this is just a perfect example of what Gen Z is turning into, or should I say has become. Lord save us.
Dear Lord, thank you for this day and all the blessings you've given me. Please watch over my family and friends, grant us peace and restful sleep, and fill my dreams with big-breasted fat booty bitches. Amen.
On God, bro.
Johnny, what the hell are you doing?
Sorry, Dad. And please send a voluptuous, wide-hipped Nubian queen for my dry dick daddy
The fuck?
with a coochie so fat it looks like a pair of overripe mangoes in a hammock. Amen.
On phone him great.
Boy, I'm about to reach across this bed and slap the adventure out of your ass. You know good goddamn fucking well that's not how you pray. Re-pray right now.
Dr. Quest, can I do it? I have been practicing.
Sure, Haji, go ahead.
Dear Lord, please grant me the strength to not kill one of these fuck niggas.
Are you serious?
Keep these hatus off my dick. And pray for these hoes cause I'm on the loose all summer 24. Amen.
Man, that's some real
Both
shit.
of you bastards are going to hell.
Yeah, that's religion 2024. That's faith 2024 Gen Z style. That's what is created through all of this. A mockery. A straight mockery. We need to raise children in faithful, godly homes. I want a little daughter like this. I want my daughter to rock like this personally.
So, I'm going to talk about Jesus.
Hallelujah!
That's loud.
Okay, sorry.
Do it nicely.
Oh, yes.
That's what I'm talking about. You know, we need some soft but firm women of God coming up these days. Okay, putting healthy people into the world, right? Now, one thing I always have to remember is the lady in red, you know, and we always could go back to the Matrix for this, okay? And I think the Matrix, though it plays such a key role in like a lot of the culture today, you know, just the concept of the red and blue pill, you know, is something we always have to consider. And if we remember, you know, this very important scene here where he's telling him what's going on and what this place is, and for some reason, you know, through the crowd, through the matrix steps this woman in red, and she just gets his attention, and she's just piercing with those eyes and just looks right through him, and he almost doesn't know what he's just he's captivated. He's captivated, right? And there's purpose in that, because the woman in red is, in my view, the whore of Babylon, a representation, a symbolism there of the whore of Babylon, right? Drunk on the wine, right? So I have this clip here just to give some esoteric background to, I believe, Sexy Red playing a part in this whore of Babylon, woman in red, hence Sexy Red, this whole idea. Now, excuse the religious aspect of this. I don't play into any of that religious stuff. I just wanted to show you this particular clip because it's an interesting breakdown of the whore of Babylon. So I'm not trying to promote any religious sects or messages or anything. So check this out.
Well, after the pouring of the 7 bowls of God's wrath and the gathering of the kings of the earth at Armageddon, the book of Revelation now presents another one of the more notable images that has come out of this book of Holy Scriptures, and that is when the angel takes John the seer and shows him the great harlot. And we know that harlot as the whore of Babylon, another image that is speculated upon, discussed, preached, and oftentimes there's great mystery as to who she is and what she represents.
Now, we ain't giving Sexy Red that much credit as if she is the whore, but she's definitely one of them. She's an aspect of it, right? She's the Jezebel spirit, I think, is probably one of the best ways to describe this. But the whore of Babylon is such an interesting element in our world that I think is playing out before us in many forms. And I think Sexy Red is an aspect of this.
The book then goes into great detail as to how she is described, and then describes the meaning of those details as the image progresses. The whore is described as very richly dressed, adorned in great wealth, which is seen as the wealth of Rome and the empire that it dominates. Symbolically, the whore is identified as Babylon, and that
and if you think about Sexy Red, she's like all these other industry plants, all these other industry social engineering characters. They're always pushing the prestige and allure of riches. And in the culture, it tends to be designer stuff, right? Or cars, right? And it's always something to consider, this element of elitism and wealth and royalty.
Brings to mind the empire that destroyed the temple in Jerusalem in 587, leading to the great exile in Babylon. The first Babylon, under Nebuchadnezzar, destroyed that first temple. And by the time the book of Revelation has been written, the new Babylon, the Roman Empire, under the leadership of soon-to-be Emperor Titus, the second temple was destroyed. And so Rome is seen very much as the new Babylon.
And does she not, like all of her cohorts and everyone else that is in line with this movement, don't they represent this new Babylon, right? When we think of Babylon, even if we consider the what is it, the Rastafari's view of Babylon, you know, and what it represents, she presents this world of death, I would argue, death and pain under the guise of pleasure and sex and wealth.
So the whore of Babylon is a personification of Rome, the mother of harlots and a great abomination on the earth. She's described as being drunk with the blood of the martyrs, again hearkening to the persecution against Christians that the Roman Empire is undergoing. She's identified by a tattoo of sorts written on her forehead. So her identification is written on her forehead.
Isn't Sexy Red covered in tattoos? Very tasteless, by the way, tattoos. Crazy.
And that is common form of identification for Roman prostitutes, and is consistent with those in the book of Revelation that have been marked with the lamb and the beast on their foreheads. Those who follow the beast are marked on their wrists or their foreheads. Those who follow the lamb have his mark on their foreheads. Here, this common identification for Roman prostitutes is now seen on the Whore of Babylon.
And I would argue she is a prostitute, right? For those that know some of the lore, she was paid by a very famous streamer to sleep with her, and she did. She took the bag and she laid down with the young guy. I'm not even going to say his name. It's not important. The point is, she is a literal prostitute. Literally. Not figuratively, because they're all prostitutes figuratively. All the industry entertainers, right? Crazy when you think about it.
She is described as riding a great beast. And when you consider that she is a harlot, she is a whore, that term of riding could also have, in many ways, a double meaning, a double entendre of a great promiscuity and harlotry as she's riding the beast. She's committing fornication with this great beast. And so the meaning of these images described are found in the verses following, in this further description of the Whore of Babylon riding the great beast. Now, the scarlet beast is described as having 7 heads, 10 horns, and is covered with blasphemous names. So it's identified with blasphemy and abomination.
Which is all she presents to us, right? I'm going to save some of this. We're going to actually do a deep dive on some of this. And I'm going to be including some Book of Enoch stuff. But yeah, I just wanted to put that out there. And she's riding the beast. Riding. Yeah. Very, very interesting. She is this woman in red. I think that has a big part. And then if we think of like Kabbalah magic, and if we think about a lot of media social engineering and the influence of colors and just I guess the occult power behind red, the color red, right? And we're not trying to demonize colors here, but they are used to influence by certain occult schools, mystery schools, right? Very interesting stuff. Now let's go to, and speaking of the masculine part about it, right? This idea of drugs and violence, right? I want to show this clip here of Candace Owens, and this was on Breakfast Club, where she did this whole thing. And we've been discussing this here at this channel for quite some time. Me and Brother Theo did a 2-part series on this way back. I think that might have been 2018. And it's just interesting to see some of these major people coming out and saying this stuff. So it's not only just the degenerate and hypersexual women, but it's also this push for drugs and violence that seems to represent, I guess, a debilitating aspect of the culture.
Also, kind of led me to ask some larger questions about, okay, because I have been feeling like in my heart that something weird's going on with Black media. I'm like, what is this trash that we're trying to sell as good music? This isn't Black culture. I hate that Black people even call it Black culture, because that's like, no. Vultures came in and took Black culture, turned it into something else. Like I've said it many times, I grew up listening to Lauryn Hill. Stop trying to tell me this is Black culture. Like, I grew up in my grandfather's house listening to The Temptations. Stop trying to tell me this is Black culture. It's not. This is rotten.
Black people aren't monolithic. I mean, you're like, even you're an example of that.
No, I'm not saying we're a monolith. I'm just saying that Black people create magic when they want.
She's saying quite the opposite, Charlemagne. The heck?
Okay? There's no singer that is better than a Black singer. If you want to go tit for tat, give me the best, white singer versus the best Black singer. Like, we have unbelievable talent, right? So if you're going to tell me that what we are now making mainstream is the filth that I hear today, I'm going to start asking questions about who's condoning this, who's signing these people.
But music is an algorithm, right? And what they really do is they see what music is being hit on Shazam, or what people are quote unquote liking, and that's what they play more.
It's getting artificial.
That's
it's starting to get artificial.
Say.
No, and I think that's why, like.
But it's deeper than that. Of course, it's the algorithms that's key, especially today. But we have to remember we were engineered prior to the algorithm. So in my view, it's like you engineer through repetition and conditioning and years of cultural influence, you engineer a certain worldview. And then once that worldview is accomplished, you start to produce algorithms that exploit it. That's, in my view, it's much deeper. We can't just say, oh, well, it's the algorithms. No, this goes way back. This goes back to generational conditioning, such that the algorithms have a very easy job in funneling people and changing perspective and creating new types of culture, AKA or IE, culture creation.
You know, I do love Kanye because I think he was pointing to this stuff really early. Like when he jumped on stage and grabbed the trophy from Taylor Swift, people were mad. I was mad. I remember being like, what on earth is he doing? But what was he actually telling you? That all of this it's a performance, right? Like this is not based on merit anymore. And by the way, he was factually right. The Taylor Swift video was like a girl dancing in a mirror, and Beyonce put out Single Ladies, one of the greatest music videos of all time, and they gave it to Taylor Swift. There's a narrative, there's a person that they're trying to make big whenever they make these decisions, also clarified by the Diddy lawsuit, because the person alleges, I'll say allegedly, that, you know, Diddy told him if he did this or that he would get producer of the year. Well, how could Diddy make that decision? How could Diddy offer that to somebody, full stop? You know, this means that there's a different reason that people are getting awarded and are being platformed. And I have seen people that I just do not believe were made hot by black people that were suddenly being thrown in our face and being invited everywhere on red carpets, and suddenly they're, you know, next Taylor Swift. It all just feels so artificial.
Who,
it doesn't
Candace?
feel well. I'm giving an example. You guys talked on stage about Ice Spice. I mean, on the
Yeah, Ice Spice, definitely. And again, I only can play clips. I'd like to play more of that, but I know they'll hit me for that. Breakfast Club doesn't play around. But yeah, Ice Spice is clearly a plant. And speaking, kind of giving you guys a cultural example of what she's saying about how music has changed, and all of a sudden you have all these people that are popular giving these messages that are clearly detrimental. This is a very comical, but I think pretty spot on. It's like it's a type of dark comedic point, but this is 90s black guys versus 80s black guys, and you get to really see how things changed because of the culture, a mixture of music, but I would add also film, right? AKA black cinema. Check this clip.
Lois, I've hired some 1980s black breakdancers to do their routine on your stomach.
Peter, come on. I'm having this baby, and that's the end of it.
But Lois, if they do it good enough, they'll save the rec center from being torn down and replaced by some mall. Ozone, Turbo, do your thing. Oh, no. Lois, those are 90s black guys. Those aren't 80s black guys at all. Run!
We're here to dance for the kids.
Run, 80s black guys. You're no match for the 90s black guys.
I mean, yeah, I think there is some dark comedic truth in that. And I think this view, it represents something that actually happened. And I think what really caused that, me and Brother Theo did a show on this as well, where we were going over gang culture and music. And we were pointing at mainly Ice-T and his work on Colors, and of course the famous original Gangster track, and the whole war on gangs of the period really shifted things towards more violence, and of course not without the help of NWA, right? But this both gay. That's funny. Dumb and gay. Yeah. No, definitely a bit gay on both sides. That's for sure. Now it depends on what artist or you were actually listening to, because it's not to say all the hip hop was gay, but say most of it maybe. At least the real big mainstream stuff. But yeah, it's interesting to see how things just overnight transformed, and this happened around 87, 88 with NWA, of course, but also the film Colors really boosted gang culture, and with the help of Ice-T, that turned it into a new market musically, a new music market called gangster rap. So I think that's an interesting historical social engineering piece of history that took things from the party scene, you know, the four elements of hip hop, where it was about dance and bravado and machismo and skill, and just fun, right? We went from that to warfare, right? Very, very interesting historical transition by way of social engineering culture, media culture, I would argue. Now, check this clip out. This is pretty depressing if you want to consider where we're at regarding gender relations. Okay. Now I'm kind of segueing into this because I think this is the outcome, right? This is the result of hypersexuality, degeneracy, and I believe what it's turning into is antisocial behavior, right? The smartphones, the social media, the virtual stuff, that's creating more of an asocial kind of dynamic, a kind of social detachment. But this culture is creating a type of antisocial when we think of more like cluster B, more pathology, where we want to hurt each other or we treat each other in ways that hurts one another. It's antisocial, and I would say it's anti-society, in that our behaviors are such that society is chaotic, right? And it's difficult for a healthy society to exist. And this happens when promiscuity is promoted, violence is promoted, right? Hyper individualism is promoted, where we feel better off alone, chasing the bag and flexing on the gram. Trying to live our lives for people that don't know us or even like us, right? This creates a type of, I would argue, antisocial culture where we actually hate each other. We're in constant competition or in constant fear of threat. It becomes a low trust society where we're constantly thinking the worst first. I'm more concerned about what you're going to do to me regarding harm than I am, say, forming some healthy, positive relationship with you. Everyone's on guard. It's a type of culture of survival. And this is just how it is growing up in the hood in general. It's like a life of survival mechanisms mixed with the defense mechanisms that are just exacerbated within the families. And I would argue start in the families. Right? So there's this compounding of all of these things. From pathological familial dynamics into cultural belief systems that are pathological. Now, again, this doesn't represent the whole culture. There is no whole culture. There's no monolithic body of Black peoples, but it is a particular and certain popular culture that is blasted out into the universe by way of all these media outlets that creates a type of blanket theme that makes it seem as if this is what it is. And it's definitely not the case. But regardless of the fact, that representation is influential and it becomes part of the identity. And people start living out their lives based on these antisocial behaviors because this is what everyone believes in. This is what everyone supports. And this is how everyone lives their lives. Look on TV. Look at what he's doing on social media. Look what she's doing. And it just becomes this type of condition, right? And the problem is it's antisocial. It's hard to have healthy families and healthy communities. But what's worse is it's very difficult to form relationships. And what comes out of relationships? Marriage, children, families. We're to the point now where we can't stand each other. Not only that, supermodernity, hyper technology, and a new digital economy has created it has created a situation where we don't even need each other anymore. Women don't need men anymore. They're able to make their own money. They're able to survive on their own. They're boosted and have developed it because of feminist movements. Culture has provided all these new things, not to mention men have completely fallen off for the most part in many ways, right? And let's also add the fact that it's hard to survive in general for both parties. So you get to this point of a type of like cultural narcissism where everyone's just trying to survive. Yes, depopulation. Shout out to Valar. A huge part of this is eugenics, hence dysgenics. This is a dysgenic movement in my view. This is a movement designed by way of media and corporations who support it and fund it and power groups that want to see it play out. It's a dysgenic movement that causes disease, causes pathological illnesses, but it also destroys the potential and possibility of families and a healthy society. Right? Children are born into this madness, and it only gets perpetually worse. And here we are.
Do women need men?
No! Jesus Christ.
No. Of course not. No. Why no?
No.
Why? Can't live with them, can't live without them. We do not need them. Not at all.
No. We the prize.
A little bit, but not really. We want them, but don't need them, baby. Hell no. Hell no. Hell no. Hell fuck ass no. Hell fuck ass no.
Jesus Christ.
No. We the new niggas. We are the men these days, though. We are the men.
What? Do men need women? Yes. Yes, we do. We do. We need women in all facets, okay? Physically, mentally, and spiritually.
Now, let's be real. We got to call out the the inadequacy of sample size and the pursuit of statistic reasoning. Okay? Where were they getting the data here? Looks like they was at the clubs. Looks like they was, outside, as it were. So you're probably going to get a certain type of answer when your sample size is limited to those particular regions. Okay, so this definitely does not represent the general population by any means. I mean, what statistical database does. But I just want to also put it out there. A lot of these kind of clips and stuff are very misleading. Very misleading. And of course, you got the guy at the end. So we could see there is a bit of bias in this. But yeah, nice editing. But the point I think still stands that this view of like this kind of we don't need each other thing is real. And I think social media has only made it worse and made it popular and made it acceptable. Right. And I think that's how culture creation works. If something becomes popular, say through trends or virality, it all of a sudden becomes a cultural norm. And this is a very antisocial perspective, to look at the opposite sex as almost an enemy or nothing, right? And it also speaks to a heightened sense of narcissism because we need each other, no matter what anyone wants to believe. And I know some people aren't maybe interested in, being with somebody. And I know individuals come into the world and never find someone or never get married, never have children, or they're possibly it's too late in their life to try to do something like that. That's totally understandable. But the point is, this has become a cultural thing, no longer an outlier, no longer an exception, but a rule, right? And I think that's very, very problematic. So I thought that clip, though it was clearly a bit steered, there's some truth in that, man. Especially if you go to certain locations, you're gonna get that type of woman, especially in this quote unquote culture. Now, I think something interesting about this is the fact that we no longer meet each other where we used to meet. We no longer relate the way we used to relate, right? And I think it's important when we think of marriage and relationships, or even just meeting people. It has to start somewhere, doesn't it? It has to start in a physical location. At least that's always been the case, right? It has to start in a place. You can't just reach out and touch somebody and start a relationship. Today, you actually can, due to the virtual world and digital technology. But there was a time where you had to meet people where they were at, right? And that tended to be in a physical place. Now, young folks, at least from my generation, okay, I know people older than me probably wouldn't even be able to identify with what we're about to go into here. But I only can speak from like my era, which is, late 90s throughout the 2000s and 2010s. And we used to meet people in the physical world. And one of the places we used to meet, especially in like our 20s, was clubs. Now, I know clubs get a bad name. All clubs weren't like raunchy. We used to go in the Bay Area, man. We had a very bustling and I'd say pretty um, live music, club and bar scene from Berkeley to Oakland to San Francisco and even down into San Jose. I mean, we had a very, very vibrant live music and club scene. And I was all throughout that. And we used to go to some pretty nice places. Yeah, we went to the rowdy spots too, right? It depended on the mood and what we were looking for. But we actually had some really nice and not necessarily fancy. I never really liked the super fancy stuff, but I'd say some very cool places where there were good people, and it wasn't no fights and none of that stuff. People were classy, right? We used to have class. You may not realize that we used to actually have some class. Okay, now what's happened is that's no more. Now people don't even hardly go out, and when they do, have you guys been out to the clubs these days? I mean, goodness gracious. I went out not too long ago. I didn't go to no club because I don't even think I could survive in one of those places today. But I went out just to see what's going on. You know, it's anthropology. Okay, this is anthropological studies here. All right, so I put on some nice clothes and I went out to study anthropology. I bought a couple drinks and mixed it up a little bit. All right, and I was very disappointed. It's just a different world out there now. It's just a different world. People are different. Even people my age, it's like we just interact differently. And I think it's because certain industries have died. And one of those industries is the nightclub industry. And the whole era of nightclubs is dead. And listen, I don't want to limit this to nightclubs. It's literally just an example. But the fact that such an influential place for young people to meet each other and have fun in the physical world is gone says a lot about how young people are meeting today, right? It's just one example. There's many others we can go into: sports, entertainment, outdoor events, churches, right? There's many other places we can go. But generally speaking, clubs were where it was the third place, right? It was where we all would meet up. It's where you would meet people from all over the place. And everyone usually in those days, we all tended to be weekend warriors. So Friday night, Saturday night, you're going out, you want to get some drinks and meet people. That's just how it was, especially in the Bay. So it's interesting to see how much has changed.
Tonight, is the fun nature of the nightclub scene dying out? Some people have been complaining about how much the culture of the club has changed in the past few years. Instead of dancing, people have their eyes glued to their damn cell phones and posting on social media. And we can't forget to mention the cost after paying for parking, entry, and then a section that's a private area with your little bottles. Some just aren't in a party mood anymore. We have beverage director and consultant Bevan Biggers, owner of bars and nightclubs Sean Outlaw, and an occasional club goer, Rico Davis. So Rico, how has a club, in your opinion, from your perspective, lost its appeal?
I believe the parking first, because you're looking at paying almost $40 to $50 if you do valet parking. And just to get to the door, you're looking at sometimes $20, maybe $30. So you're looking at $80 just before you even get in the door.
Right.
And it's not fun anymore when you have to spend so much money to have a good time.
So yours.
This is key. Very, very key, especially with some of these bigger clubs that do the whole bottle service and stuff. That used to be hot. Like, man, I remember back in like 2001 to around 2009, that was the thing, man. Especially like in Vegas and in some of the San Francisco big clubs, getting a table and a bottle service. It was huge. It was fun and it was affordable and it was different. It was something completely new. And now that stuff costs you $1,000 a night, right? So that whole thing is done. People can't afford that anymore. Not to mention drinks. And I'm not trying to promote alcohol, but let's be adults here. All right. You go to a club. I don't always drink alcohol, actually. Let's see. Well, years ago, I used to drink quite a bit of alcohol when we were out. But, I'd say probably after I was about maybe 30 something, I slowed down on that. And you'd go to you'd get a glass, you get one mixed drink, maybe a beer or two or something like that. Now, man, these things are very, very expensive. You're going to pay $12 for a beer, and you're going to pay about $20 for one, say any type of liquor, any type of hard drink. You're going to pay like $20. There's a nice place. One of the places we went to actually, where we had some wine. We went. It was a nice bar, beautiful. We had some glasses of wine, nice music. It was chill, but it was dead. And I don't mean that there was nobody there. It's just the energy. I don't know, man. It's just a different place. And the way people interact today, again, we're all kind of like on guard. And I get it. Social media has created this. We got so many freaks and perverts running around doing all kind of crazy crap now. So it's hard to trust anybody. It's like super low trust now. But it's just unfortunate, because I came up in the era where this was the thing, going out and having a good time. And it's just dead now. And it sucks that Gen Z isn't able to experience this, because I think it's good socially. Though, of course, degeneracy happens, right? But it's like we've had something taken away from us that's cultural, a socio-cultural experience that has been taken away from us. And the economy has a lot to do with that. It's just hard to even afford to go out to a few spots a night and buy a few drinks here and there. It's hard to even afford that.
This is more on the financial aspect rather than people who are inside on their cell phones, not paying attention, not even socializing.
No one dance anymore.
Right.
You would see someone in a club and they're just literally on their phone the whole time. If you sit there, sometimes I like to do a lot of people watch. I would actually sit there and watch someone on their phone that long. It's like, it's no fun. I mean, me growing up, we go out to dance, to have a good time. But if your face is glued to the phone, what kind of fun is that?
Sean, your perspective as an...
It's so crazy. I'm going to continue. I just want to add to that. When you see, I noticed this, not the last time I went, but I went out, maybe it was around last year sometime, and I went to a few clubs. And hey, listen, I be analyzing that. I enjoy people watching. As I said, it's anthropological studies, right? When I go out, I'm doing anthropological research, and I'm just peeping the scene. And it's crazy because, and again, I'm older, so when I'm at these clubs, there's a lot of young people, and I like just seeing how they operate. And this is what I saw. A lot of them are on their phones, and it's crazy because they're interacting with social media while they're out in a physical social environment. And it's like the social media environment is the real environment. And it's so crazy. It's like, and they're taking pictures, and the whole time you see these groups and they're just all like taking these selfies and pictures and immediately posting them online. So it's like the whole night they're capturing social media posts. So when you go and say you didn't know this person, and you look them up on social media and you see all their pictures, it looks like they're having so much fun. It's like, oh, it looks cracking over there. But little do you know, the whole time they were sitting in the same spot taking pictures. Or this is a funny one. I see this whole group of girls, and they're just all sitting, having drinks, taking pictures. And they get up, they all go to the dance floor, right? And they all start taking pictures of each other dancing. I'm not kidding. Right after they're done with the pictures, they go back and sit down. It's like you said, no one dances anymore. They just go to the dance floor to take pictures. So you get this false sense of reality when you look at the social media images. People do this on their vacations too. They spend their whole damn vacation taking pictures, and they ain't even experiencing anything. It's so interesting to me. It's sad though at the same time, because it's not just the devices, they're the vehicle, but it's the actual social media environment. It's this virtual collective that has taken us away from living. And it's for someone who came up outside of all of that, who came up without social media and went through my 20s and into my 30s, it's just like, damn, man, it's crazy to just think about how much has changed in such a short period.
Owner out there, do you see, Sean, your perspective as an owner out there, do you see many people not enjoying themselves, or you let the millennials and the Gen Zers just stay on their phones as long as they're spending that money with you.
Yeah, I mean, we work pretty hard for people to have a good time. We make sure that whether it's the music, the MC, the host, or maybe a guest we might bring on, they do a lot of twerking. Now, I don't know if you call that dancing, but there's a lot of twerking going on.
Another important fact. Now it's like the twerk is what all the girls want to do. I remember back in the day, you never really saw that. You would see it sometimes, but it would always be that really loose, fast club goer. You know, most other girls, they're chilling, they're dancing with their girls, or they're dancing with other guys, but it wasn't a whole lot of that. Now it's like everybody wants to act out and act wild and take pictures and get filmed so they could go viral or something. It's another unfortunate part. It's like everyone's acting out for the gram, doing it for the gram. And we just can't dance like normal people anymore. You know, everything has become so extreme and exaggerated and hyper real.
But yeah, no, the people are on their phones a lot. A lot of times they're showing what they're doing. Or
Right,
what
instead of doing it.
Instead of doing it.
Yeah.
They're not living in the moment, and I see that. But at the same time, I mean, you know, if you want to be on your phone and buy drinks, then I guess that's your business.
And that's an important aspect, Bevan, that people...
This is true, Speak Uneasy. A whole lot of it, especially if you was out there in Florida. Definitely. It isn't as if it always hasn't existed, that's for sure. It just wasn't as prominent. Like, let's be real. You're not going to see Becky in the club on the stage twerking in 1998, right?
Want to show social media what they're doing, but they're not actually doing it.
Because sometimes when I go out, they'll be on their phones, and the only time they dance is if somebody has a camera in their face, like, "Hey, girl, ooh." And then right when the camera's done,
Exactly. Oh my goodness, it's so true.
back on the phone, I'm like, what is going on? Me, I'm definitely a dance person, so that's why I'm like at the Flat a lot, because people come in there specifically to dance and drink and dance. Like I'm coming there to sweat, but it's really hard for me to enjoy myself. I'm not a section person. I'm not gonna get a bottle. I just want a few drinks and I just want to dance.
And our play.
Yeah, whining is something totally different, Hassan. That's a cultural thing. Whining isn't twerking, though they do look similar. There is some actual cultural history to that that's related to a whole entire different thing. So we must, must keep things into perspective. Very good point.
Places like the Flat, fewer and far in between now.
Very few and far in between, but there is like a house movement going on. So there's a lot of like private
house party?
No, like house music party scene where people are coming out specifically to dance.
Yes, this is a good point. Someone had mentioned techno earlier. It's divisive. I know some people are like really anti-techno and house and stuff. Personally, you know, I love all types of music. I've never liked techno, but I do like a lot of different genres of electronic music. And being a dancer, always being a dancer since I was a kid, I've always loved dancing to different types of genres, especially electronic. And of course, coming up during the height of the rave scene in the Bay Area, you know, being in that scene pretty hardcore and pretty heavy for a few years, I definitely saw that change, which is normal for anyone in Europe. Like anyone in UK, Germany, you know, France, it's nothing to you guys because the electronic scene is the standard out there. But at least in America, the electronic scene in the parties and on the party scenes didn't really start to come up until the mid 90s, and they peaked in the early 2000s. And they just continued to blow up, especially with the festivals and everything, you know, like Hard Summer, I think, is one of these big parties now that's really doing well. And of course, Coachella, which has turned into somewhat of a massive rave/concert. So electronic music has changed quite a bit, and it does continue the culture of dance. And that's something I do appreciate, especially the house music. I do like house music. I'm more into drum and bass and like jungle and stuff like that. But I do appreciate house, and I like dancing to house too, because you could freestyle and do a lot of you could really go off to house. Techno, I never really danced to techno or any like happy hardcore, none of that stuff. But yeah, I actually do like house quite a bit. It has a big history. So that's a whole other angle that still survives and still does have a scene, right? So the club scene might be pretty much dead, but the house scene is actually booming. So it's not as if these places don't exist, but the problem is people are different. So you may have these house parties, house clubs, and dance parties, but people are different. So the vibe is just very different. Thankfully, the dancing still exists. Because personally, some people just want to get out there and dance. They're not really trying to like meet people. So at least you could still do that today.
And it's usually house music. That's usually the scene where we're dancing the most. Everything else is twerking periodically for the camera, for your phone. So yeah, I'm just not enjoying my house movement going on. So there's a lot of like private party. No, like house music.
Oh yeah, someone to mention EDC. Yeah, EDC I think is the largest like rave festival. I think that's the biggest one. I've been to many EDCs actually. I used to go to EDC when it was in LA. For those that remember, I used to go. Who remember where EDC came from? EDC actually started in Los Angeles, and I used to go to all of those. And then there was just some legal issues, and of course, you're always safe in Vegas. So then it moved to Vegas, I think in 2010. And the last EDC I went to was, I think 2014. That might have been the last one. Yeah, because that was coming to Christ at that time. So, I was like, okay, I got to stop doing this, man. These parties aren't healthy for me. But EDC is actually bigger now than it was even way back then. It's way bigger now. It's such a massive event. It's very successful. It's actually pretty surprising seeing where it came from. It started pretty humble actually, but it's a huge thing now. And the problem is it's like a drug factory, right? It's basically everyone going there and doing drugs. It'd be different if it was more dance focused and like DJ focused, music focused, but unfortunately it's turned into pretty much a drug party, and it's sad to see.
And far in between now.
Very few and far in between, but there is like a house movement going on. So there's a lot of like private
house party?
No, like house music party scene where people are coming out specifically to dance, and it's usually house music. That's usually the scene where we're dancing the most. Everything else is twerking periodically for the camera, for your phone. So yeah, I'm just not enjoying myself if I can't dance.
And so, Rico, have you said, you know what, this is not for me, I might as well stay home?
Yes.
Or do you go to house party? What's your alternative?
My alternative is either like a lounge, someplace really where you're not going to dance. You just really go there to socialize. And
this is where everything changed. So the lounges started to become more popular. I remember lounges, at least in the Bay, because I used to know quite a few owners, and I knew a lot of promoters. Because I'd been in the party scene for a long time, and I remember these types of lounge spots started blowing up in like the mid 2000s, like 2005, 6, 7, and they started to take over, and people were dressing nicer, and dress codes more chill, not as much dancing. That was a good time, and it was like more mature. It's kind of more of a mature vibe. And I appreciated it because those were the places you would never see drama. Like some of the big clubs, if like you go to like 10-15, actually 10-15 wasn't bad, but like Mission Rock and like all of those big party spots, there would always be beef, people fighting, gunshots after. And like you would never see that at some of these more lounge spots, which were nice because you could actually sit down and have a conversation with people, and you could actually be more social, and it was more chill. So people weren't like, slathered in drunkenness. People were actually pretty stable, and it was just a good time. And it definitely was older people too. It's like older, like upper 20s. The young cats, 21 to 26, they tended to stay at the more bigger spots. But the lounges was a whole new movement where a lot of us, I'd say, matured in the scene, and it's sad to see that even dead today.
Alternative.
My alternative is either like a lounge, someplace really where you're not going to dance. You just really go there to socialize.
Yeah, honestly, Mission Rock was one of my favorite clubs, even though it was kind of it's kind of problematic at times, but man, they had some great parties there. A lot of good performances. Like I remember I watched kind of random, but I saw Rock from Helter Skelter perform there. That was a really good show. Hardly anyone knew who he was, but it was cool to see him live by himself.
And network. You know, I always say if I had to put together a party, it was one of those requirements where you have to leave your cell phone in the car. And I asked people, I was like, would you be interested? And a lot of people said, you know what, I would go. And I think that would be great. Because now people really get to dance and talk and, you know, communication. Because with cell phones now, there's no communications at all.
And Sean, you said you're hiring more entertainment at your spots. Do you think that will draw people out? Or is that even, you sounded like you're satisfied with it as long as they keep spending that money.
Yeah, Second Sunday was a great party. That was big. That was one of the newer parties, I believe. It was like a day party, right? That was huge. I remember that. I went a few times. But that was when the day party started really popping in, like maybe after 2000, I want to say 6 or 7. And then the day parties. We had a lot of fun, man. Things were so social, weren't they? And all of that stuff is gone now. Like, it's gone. It's such a trip because I wonder, what are the younger generations doing now? How are they having fun? How are they meeting people? How are they like letting all that energy out and just decompressing, you know, socially? What are they doing? Because these things don't exist like they used to exist. Even some of the smaller bars and clubs like Somar in Oakland, as an example, another place I used to frequent. You know, these like smaller little clubs that were just great music, great DJs, cool people, always drama free. And just good times and good vibes. Like, where is that stuff now? They still exist. It's not as if they've closed, but the scenes are just gone, and it's surreal to like go from seeing that all the time and knowing it's there to it just kind of being dead.
Your spots. Do you think that will draw people out, or is that even? You sounded like you're satisfied with it as long as they keep spending that money.
Yeah, I mean, no, but I think that we spend a lot of effort into making sure our customers have a good time, and we do get special guests, musicians, artists, or people on TV shows and things like that, and people do want to see them. But of course, to your point, they're filming them in the background because they're in the same place, so it's kind of funny. You know, but yeah, I mean, I would say though, you know, in terms of it being expensive to go out. Right, there was some complaints about, well, it's getting kind of high to go out. There is, but I think if you were to go to the store, buy a bottle of liquor, buy all the mixers, get a DJ to come to your house, get a bunch of waitresses to bring you everything you need, get a bartender to make all your drinks, and then get someone to clean it all up at the end of the night, I think you'll spend more than you probably would at a night out. So, you know, there's a trade-off there. It's all
if you're drinking Uber, I like to Uber, so I don't have a parking complaint because I'm going to Uber to the establishment anyways.
And what I would say, if the customer service is great, the money's not a problem.
We want to thank you guys for joining us.
That's fair.
It's an ongoing debate. We'll see what happens.
That's one thing that I actually think we would have really appreciated. Imagine having Uber back then. Oh my goodness, so many nights we would have been saved with having Uber as an option. Now there were taxis, but taxis were very expensive, especially if like you lived in Oakland and you were somewhere in the city. Taking a taxi all the way back to Oakland would have been very expensive. We would have definitely took advantage of Uber. Now here's a clip. I found this one kind of speaking to this idea. Don't mind her. She's like eating, and it's a little distracting. She's like eating while she's talking. I think that's for effect. I think it's just for effect. But apparently she's from the Bay Area, and she's speaking to this idea about how clubs from 2009 to 2012 were great. And I actually was out on the scene at that time, so I know exactly what she's talking about. And I just find this stuff interesting because we've lost these connections, these social connections, regardless if people look at them as, you know, you're drinking alcohol. And listen, man, we're young people. We're getting out. This is stuff we do, you know, be measured, you know, be mature about it. It's okay to go out there and have some drinks with your friends, you know, and everyone isn't like everyone doesn't believe that you're never supposed to do these things. I think as long as you're measured and mature and moderation, it's okay to go out and have a good time with your friends. The point is, none of this stuff exists anymore like it used to. And the young kids today don't have the opportunity to get out in the world and experience each other and make mistakes and make friends, form relationships, and experience music and culture in this sense, which was a part of our upbringing. And I can't even imagine not having that. So when I think about this, and then I find these references, it's very interesting to juxtapose them to the current culture, this like Gen Z sexy red culture. It's like these girls, young girls twerking, they don't know anything about a club. They don't know anything about any of this culture. They just know it from the internet now. It's like this hyper exaggerated social media thing. It's just weird and creepy.
Word on the street, y'all want to know what the club used to be like? Well, I'll tell you. I started going to the club around 09. I was a teenager, too young to be in there. But, so, right, you walk in. It was tables, like high top tables, round ones, with chairs around them for free. For free. You didn't have to pay to sit down. Walk in, it was free seating and shit, right? Your lights was completely on. It would be a bar. You can mingle in there, you can talk. And then you go up to another room, and there was a club with a dance floor, a whole dance floor, right? And then it used to be like, there was VIP sections, but nobody was in them. Like, not like nobody was in them, like they came down to the dance floor. They weren't even occupied. Like, they was there but for like special events or occasion, or maybe true VIP. I don't know why the hell they was there, but nobody would ever be in them, right? And then there was a bar inside the club dancing area. It was right there. So dance floor right here, and people was like dancing like hard, hard.
Hard. We did dance hard too. We was really out there sweating, sweat your whole weave out, all of that. That was how it was, and no one cared. That's the thing. We weren't like, that's a bad place to pause. Huh? We weren't tripping. It was just about having a good time, having fun, and just we weren't so preoccupied with what someone's gonna think. I miss how things used to be in that sense.
And so women got in free before like 11:30. Men would buy women drinks. Like, I go in there, I might pay to get in. I might, depending on how late I got there. But if I go to the club with $100, I'm coming back with $100 most of the time. If I got there in time before the free. Men will buy my drinks for me. Because women was valued. They used to have like top shelf $5 shots. Hennessy Patron, well, that's American top shelf. $5, depending on the night. It was lit, it was fun, people was dancing. What killed the club is social media and greedy promoters.
That AI got that wrong. Greedy promoters, but this is it. What killed the club is social media and greedy promoters. Now, the greedy promoters, it's not that there aren't greedy promoters, but you have to remember how expensive overhead is to run a club. I had friends that owned clubs, and it's crazy how much it costs to run one of those things, considering all that's involved. So especially as inflation increased, and definitely after COVID, I mean, it's almost impossible to afford to run a club. So prices go through the roof, just like we seen in a grocery store. So I do have to, be a little objective here. Some promoters did ruin a lot of the scene, but I think the economy had more to do with it. And I personally, man, I think, and we've said this, COVID had a lot to do with purposely destroying the economy and destroying industries. Not only did the nightlife industry get destroyed, but the restaurant industry has been significantly damaged. I've seen around where I'm at and places further away, historical restaurants gone, shut down. They never recovered after COVID. And a lot of these like international restaurants, like some of the Asian eateries, you know, because those cultures tended to be a lot more fearful. So a lot of them just packed up and just didn't want anything to do with it because they were afraid to contamination and all of that. So it's sad to see that not just the night scene, the nightlife scenes, but also eating out. And I get it. These things are all consumer based, corporatist, etc. But they did play key parts in this kind of third place. These third places outside of work, outside of home, right? Outside of our immediate neighborhoods where we would come together. We would come together at restaurants and little bars and sports bars and nightclubs, lounges, parks. People don't even go to parks anymore. And those are free. And it is what it is, but it's just sad to see how everything is just gone away. And a lot of it is on our own doing too, especially considering parks and stuff. We're just kind of asocial in many ways. And of course, it's the low trust, I think, plays a role in it, right? It's a low trust society. It's hard. There's just a bunch of weirdos out there today, man. I mean, it is what it is.
Women aren't valued in the club no more, especially black women. But that's a whole nother video. I'm from the Bay Area. That's a whole nother video. I ain't finna get into that. What else I miss? I took my notes, but this is right here. It's a lot.
Okay, that was it. All right. So what I like about that clip is it's just kind of giving some history. Like, man, we used to be able to afford to go out, and now it's just impossible to afford. And not just because of the economy, but social media has made things so weird socially. Things are so weird. Like, people are creepy, and people are flexing for the gram. People are trying to get noticed. People are using each other to go viral. It's hard to trust sincerity because everything is kind of like, in a sense, everything is in a sense like faked. People are just, I don't know, man. It's hard to explain. And then you have this. You have the whole Tinder thing. And this is a crazy clip, and she's just swiping. And this is what it's like today. And this is how people meet people now. It's brutal.
Oh, give him a chance.
Give him a chance. It's just brutal. I mean, there's no need for a club, now it's like, why go to the club and waste time, having some weirdo rubbing up against me, trying to buy me drinks, and then there's just the whole like emotional aspect of social media through attention, where people are getting so much attention on social media. It's kind of feeding them in a way that makes them not really need to go out and do social things. Now, all girls aren't like that, all men aren't like that, but it does play a role. I mean, it's sad, but another part of the social media is the online dating, this app dating, not even online dating. It's like application dating. And now, yeah, dopamine hits. There we go. And now they want to include AI. And I showed you guys that on the Future Shock podcast, where Bumble is getting ready to incorporate an AI that can represent you and gather all your data. So it learns you and knows everything about you. And it, in a sense, stands in as you, as a digital twin. And it goes out and finds matches for you by talking and connecting or communicating with other users' AIs. So if you think about this, we're just moving further and further and further away from each other. We went from going to the club, having drinks, going outside, to being inside, connected, communicating on the phone. And now we're not even going to communicate anymore. Now we got AI that's going to do it for us. So it's like you have your own concierge, as she said. Your digital dating concierge who's just going to handle everything for you. Now, I want to say, or I want to ask, what is that going to be like when you actually physically meet that person? That's going to be weird. Now, if it's someone, say, from our generation, it wouldn't be as weird because we've had that in our life, meeting people in the real. right? And developing relationships physically. But what about, say, young teenagers today that start meeting people that way? Do you think they're even going to be able to interact physically with someone? Think about how awkward that's going to be. Like the social awkwardness of it will be a generalized phenomenon in the population if everyone's being socialized this way. It's this type of digital socialization. I'm actually working on a video right now on this, where I go into this phenomenon where we're now being socialized digitally, and that can't end well, man. It just can't. Yeah, it's a whole new level of catfishing. Yeah, imagine that. Especially with like bots and glitching and hacking, people hacking your AI. I mean, damn, is this where we want to go? I mean, I know we don't, but I'm just saying, generally speaking. And then the problem is most people, the general population, don't know anything about this stuff, don't even care, too busy, following, their influencers and, their tea drama online. They don't know what's actually happening. And before you know it, these companies just install these options. They install these programs. And then you just, oh, it's installed already. Okay, let me click it. And you start using it. And before you know it, it's part of your life. Like, we don't have choice. They test these things on us every day. They roll them out. And a lot of them tend to be convenient and stuff like that. So people just get involved. Yeah, man. Shout out to Hulk. Good to see you, bro. Says, it's the inevitable outcome with biblical worldview is rejected. Your ontology is distorted through imagination and vanity controlled through tech. Amen. Amen, bro. That's the Future Shock podcast in a nutshell, man. You put it in a sentence. Spot on, dude. It's so true. People don't have any worldview to ground why something's good or bad. It's just, so when you don't have any real values, you're just going to do whatever's cool, whatever's popular, whatever's trending, whatever's hype. If everyone else is doing it, why not? And when everyone else is plugging in and when everyone else is communicating indirectly through their AIs, who are you going to have to communicate with? I mean, I guess you could come over to our side because we're going to be the small few that are still, trying to maintain some level of reality. Viral hive cancer, Raybo. Well said, man. Yeah, L with us. He is. He definitely is. Let's see what y'all saying. Let me jump in the chat here. Shawana in the building. Good to see you, sis. Rob Tick as well. Good to see you guys. King of Kong is with us. Good to see you. B1 is with us. B1 in the house for sure. Good to see you, bro. Yeah, man. Those are all the clips I had. We could just chat it up for a bit here. So just this whole Sexy Red thing. She's kind of been a little quiet on the scene right now, but she's still viral. That's for sure. She's still viral. And I'm waiting for her to either completely fall off or be replaced by the next Babylonian whore, if you will. It's going to be interesting. I just hope people start speaking out against this stuff, man. I mean, especially those of us with kids, we can't expose these children to this stuff. And I don't have the clip, but it's an old clip. I think it's from like a couple of years ago, or at least last year. Viral clip of a teacher, a preschool, or maybe it's kindergarten teacher with little girls singing Sexy Red songs, and she's like filming them and she put it on TikTok. It's just crazy to me, man. It's so crazy. Have any of y'all been catfished before? I sure haven't. I couldn't even imagine what that feels like. I mean, well, actually, that's not true. I have been catfished before, now that I think about it. But it's like old school catfishing. This is like prior to social media, because I remember back in the AIM days, for those who remember AIM, I remember I was a mess. I was all over that thing, man, because it was new. I I was talking to people all over the United States, man. The chat rooms and stuff. Who remembers that? I used to love those things, man. It's kind of like what we have here. They're very similar. They were fun, right? Chat rooms. And I remember I was young. I was about 16 when I started like playing around with those. And you know, you would go into little chat rooms that have different titles like music or whatever. I tended to go into like the hip hop chat rooms. That's where I usually was. And you know, you give your ASL and all of that. And I had met different people, and it's kind of like digital pen pals, but like age, sex, location. That's what ASL was. So like whenever you would go into a chat room, everyone would just put their ASL. It was just like what you do. It was like right when you get in there, you just put your age / sex / location. And then everyone's just talking about random stuff. Very similar to how we chat here. And that's what I love about the chat is it just reminds me of AIM back in the day. I used to do it every single day. I would spend at least an hour or so chatting with my friends all over the United States. And I remember I had met this one girl. She was from Rhode Island, and we were talking quite a bit. And I remember we exchanged phone numbers, and we were talking like just phone, like talking on the phone for like a while. We were talking for like months, and she was sending me pictures, and I was naive. I was young, and I was naive, and I also wasn't thinking like, why would she lie? I was thinking like, why would she lie? But a friend of mine, just I guess to not give too many details, just and he didn't know for sure, but he was like, bro, that's not her. He's like, that's not her, dude. And I must admit, he was a lot more mature than me. You know, I was a late spurter, but he was like, that's not her, bro. That is not her. I was like, for real? I mean, I never met her in real life or anything, but I guess that's kind of catfishing. That's like some old school catfishing. I sent her real pictures too, man. Real ones. I wasn't playing. I was serious. But yeah, he's like, bro, that is not her. And then I thought about it. I was like, yeah, maybe you're right. It looked like she pulled up off the internet, man. Yeah, I was a little 16-year-old just having too much fun. I guess technically that's catfishing. That's as far as it went for me, though. After I learned my lesson after that, honestly, I was very careful with like who I got involved with on the internet. I learned very early. I think catfishing is the new hot profession. These universities these days probably got degrees for catfishing. Yeah, I would be surprised. It is a thing though, right? Especially when we think of social media and the insecurity it's developed. So now people are like so insecure and living like false lives and stuff and misrepresenting who they are. And just the culture of fake, fake it till you make it, all of that. Yeah, and I remember when I discovered when I realized that she wasn't who she said she was, I asked her, I was like, hey, is this really you? She's like, why? Why? Just the way she was acting, I knew it wasn't her. I could just tell. It's like, man, I felt so played. I was like, all right, well, I mean, you're cool and all, but I don't appreciate that. So I remember I had to cut that. I cut that off. And then like after that, I was like, okay, I'm only going to like give girls my number or, actually try to take it further if I meet you in the real world. So I learned that virtual mistake early, man. That was like 96. No, that was like 97. So I learned early. I was like, man, you can't be trusting this internet thing, especially if you're trying to meet people, trying to like actually meet people and like form a relationship or something. You got to meet them in the real because people be lying and misrepresenting themselves. And look at what things have turned into now. It's just it's so surreal, man. Because I've been like online since the very beginning, like since DOS and dial up and all of that stuff, man. Fat back computers. Like I was online. So I literally experienced it all develop. And it's been a wild ride, man. My dad had it was like an ancient computer, man, but we had a computer, and for the time it wasn't very common either. And when he wasn't home, I just start playing around with it and figuring stuff out and just exploring. Cause at that time, we had no one to tell us about. My dad, he didn't know a whole lot of, I think he had it for like, maybe it was Excel or something. It was more for like, I don't know, like some work stuff. It wasn't even like he was a techie or anything, because he wasn't. But yeah, DOS, exactly. I remember that's what we had, and I used to just mess around, and then I was like, oh, what is this? I forget how I got exposed to AOL, AIM, or whatever, but man, I figured it out, and man, it was fun. It was so fun. It was like crazy. Like I'm actually typing to someone else somewhere else, and we're like talking to each other live. It was so crazy. It was such a strange experience, man. And now it's just the norm. And I remember at that time, I believe it was connected to the phone line. So you either were on the internet or you were using the phone. I think like you couldn't do both at once, if my memory serves. So there was that too. And of course we only had one computer, so. But no one really used it. It was just my dad. It was his, he had it for something specific. So it was like I was the only one messing around with it. And the funny thing was I was never interested in anything computer based. Like I've been using them since I was like a very young, like 16, but I never was like, oh, I want to learn about computer engineering. Like I'm not a techie type of person at all, but it comes natural to me, but I'm just not interested in it like that. Yeah, dial up. We had dial up. AOL. I'm not even gonna say what my I guess screen name or whatever was, because it's super cringy. But damn, those are good times, man. Those are good times. Someone's gonna ask me, I know it, and I'm probably gonna have to say it. And I actually have said it before, but that was years ago. Just admit it, all y'all who was on AIM, AOL back in the day, you had some cringy screen names. You know you did. Matter of fact, you might as well start typing them in the chat, man. Badge of honor. We made it. we were the first. We were the testing ground, right? Yeah, Napster. Napster was cool. I honestly never used it. I knew about it, but I never used it. All right. Might as well say it. My screen name was Mr. Fly 18. And I was 16, lying about my age and everything. It was horrible. Mr. Fly 18. How cringy. Yeah, it's not far from McLovin. And I spelled Mr. MISTAH. Ladybug. Oh, that's innocent. That's actually cute. Yeah, LimeWire. Now I was on LimeWire. I was definitely on LimeWire. I didn't do the Napster, but I was on LimeWire like crazy. Humble underscore wants booty. Oh, man. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, man, that's funny. Cute Smarty 2002. Oh, that's it just looks like straight out of the 90s, man. That's so funny. I love these screen names. It just brings me back. Skullgirl 510. Oh my goodness. I love it. Wares. That's kind of cool. That was one of those more unique ones. Generally, we'd see a name with like a year after or some numbers. like your age. It was very typical to put your age or the year you were born or your favorite number. There was just this aesthetic about it, like the late 90s, early 2000s. It was such an interesting time. Pretty Brown 1002. There we go. That's another one. That's so like, wow. It's funny, man. What a time. Oh, MySpace. Yeah, MySpace. I loved MySpace, man. MySpace was super cool. What I liked about MySpace was you were able to completely like customize your page. So I loved like getting code. I would just find different codes online and I would like put custom backgrounds. I would change like the colors of the words, use different fonts. And I loved putting music. Like you could put any music you wanted. It was so fun to customize it and make it, your own. And I looked at it as a piece of art. Like that's how I did it. I was like, man, this whole thing is like a piece of art. I'm just gonna like totally just soup this thing up. And it was so fun. I loved MySpace. Just the customization was really fun. And you could really just put your own spin on it. And I just loved putting out the music I'm listening to at the time or tracks that I want to introduce people to, put more obscure kind of rare stuff out, mixes, stuff like that. And then of course the aesthetics, right? Being able to aesthetically design was really fun. Yeah, MySpace was cool. It was definitely an innocent social media platform that really took a left after it vanished. But yeah, I remember I started with, I think, Friendster. Actually, there was one before Friendster that I was on. It was a real, because I'm from the Bay, so we knew about all the early Silicon Valley software. It was very easy to find out about it because you'd have friends that were in the industry or my friends' parents that were in the industry. Quinn said, Dayz, remember 7 years ago, we argued about my take on certain psychological theories. Haha, I can't believe it's been that long. Oh, that's funny. I don't remember, but I'm sure we probably did. Yeah. I wonder what we were arguing about. I'd like to hear that. That's funny. Yeah, I was doing a lot of psychological videos then too, yeah. Aside from the esoteric stuff. But yeah, Friendster was interesting. It was kind of wonky. MySpace really kind of just a lot better. Yeah, Kyoko, MySpace was definitely my favorite because of the customization and just the communities were kind of cool. You could put like your friends on the front and everything, which was kind of drama, right? Because people are why ain't I on your front page? Why you put me on your top 8? or you want to switch somebody out, maybe you got a new friend that you just clicking with and real cool and you want to put them in, but you got to take somebody out. You're like, damn, who am I gonna take out? Because if I take them out, they're gonna take it personal. They're gonna think like, that's just how it was. It was so funny. It was funny, man. Yeah, man, that was like 2002, 2003, I think, 4 or 5, around that time. So it's bittersweet, because being part of the introduction of all of this social media and it's nostalgic. It's like, it was such great times. But I'll say this, man, and I've said this in the past, it's not so much social media is the problem, it's the smartphones. Because I remember when social media was predominantly internet-based, where you had to be on a desktop or a laptop if you had one, because that was kind of uncommon back then. Most of us just had desktops. I believe it was more innocent then, because you only had those several times out of the day where you could go on there. It's like, and you would make a schedule. You check your stuff in the morning, you type what you want to type, you'd connect, boom, boom, then you'd go to work, you go to school, you do whatever you do, and you live in the world. You operate in the world, present. And then when you come home, you check in and see what people are talking about and, responding to people or posting or sharing what you did that day. It was way more innocent. And I think it was a lot more healthy because it was integrated. It didn't take over our life. it was an addition to our life. That's how I enjoyed it so much, because it was an addition. It's like I got my physical life and everything I'm doing day to day, but then I get to come home to this virtual world with all of these new friends and all of these interesting people. And I get to share things, and people get to share things with me. And it was just another way we were able to communicate. For me, personally, once that changed and once that went into the smartphone application thing where we're like 24/7 in your pocket, constant access, that's when everything went left. That's when we were just enveloped by the platform, by the environment, by this new social virtual environment became the predominant, or the I guess the main environment for a lot of people. And then it got to the point where we started faking stuff in the real to put in the virtual, and now we see what that's turned into. So I don't feel as bad being nostalgic and even positive towards the beginning of social media based on, and I'm sure this is debatable for different people, but this is just my view, based on the dynamic and how it didn't intrude and impose on our lives as much. Yeah, B1, it gave you something to look forward to, but yes, it didn't take over your life. Exactly. It was so fun, man. I just remember those times. It added a whole new element to your day-to-day life, which for me made life more interesting, because we had our physical life, but then we had this little fun virtual thing that was just an addition, but now it's taken over and it's just unhealthy and pathological at this point. So I'm very particular. Some people say, oh, the internet ruined everything. The internet ruined a lot of things. Let's be real. But the internet didn't produce the culture we have today, in my view. At least, well, we can't say any one thing produced it, but you know what I mean, right? I think it was the smart technology and the smart devices and the applications, right? The ubiquity and the interactive access that really changed things for the worse. If we would have stayed on laptops and desktops with these applications, they could have been applications, but just only on these laptops and desktops, I think things would be a whole lot different. So it's not so much that the internet got us here in this kind of fashion. It's the devices, it's the instant access, and it's the ubiquity. Everyone has one. Children have them. That's what really got us here, in my view. No one picks up the phone to chat anymore. Well said. I mean, I'm guilty of this, and I hate it. I've gotten so accustomed to texting that it's like I just want to text. I don't want to, and I guess it's because I'm so busy and I have so much going on. I don't have time to sit and talk on the phone like I used to. I mean, I talk to a handful of people, my direct family, Hulk, and Theo when we talk, and maybe a handful of people. I don't talk on the phone. I just don't. And I hate that about myself, because I used to spend a lot of time talking on the phone, man. Like, it was something we used to do. It was fun. And you don't appreciate it as much anymore. And I've said this in the past. We're so, in my view, bombarded with information. It's like this we're desensitized by information and data, that we don't appreciate sitting down and taking time to conversate, because we're getting so much information all the time, and we have all this instant technology to where we can just type our thoughts to people immediately and keep it moving, and we could multitask. Like, I could do a bunch of things. Like, honestly, I could be sitting here editing a video, right, listening to a new mixtape or something, gathering tracks, editing a video for something different. And then I could be surfing Twitter or surfing something else on the internet, looking through stuff. And I could also be texting a friend information. We could be having conversation through text while I'm literally editing a video, literally listening to some new mixtape that I'm checking out, and also researching. I could do all these things at once, and I do it all the time. It's like a regular thing for me, right? But it's like info glut. It wears you down. It desensitizes you, and for me, it makes it, I don't know. You guys know what I'm saying. It's sensory overload. There we go, Shawana. It is. Now, I'm a little ADD, so I'm like that anyways. Like I could do a bunch of stuff. I can multitask like crazy, but at the same time, I know it's not necessarily good. Some of us are wired for that, so we may not suffer as much damage, but this is a general part of the culture now. Everyone's operating like this. And a lot of people are suffering headaches, stress, fatigue, fogginess, all of that. Not to mention like bad diet, which just makes it all worse. Who has a landline? Great question, right? Who out there got a landline for real? And why do we get rid of the landlines? Well, we all got cell phones. Why have a landline, right? Convenience, right? I know, Erica, I do too. Like it's one thing I struggle with. I got to be better with that, man. Picking up the phone and calling people. I really do. It's something that I'm not proud of, but I'm not perfect. And I just get in my head, so it's hard, man. It's definitely hard. It's just a different world. Yeah, toilet bowl. Shout out to TBE, man. Folks grip on nostalgia so much these days, it seems because they inherently have no faith in the future. That capitalist realism is hard. I mean, it's facts, bro. I mean, it's facts. I mean, when you think about this, like, especially with the younger generation that hasn't had time to really develop. So the stage capitalism is in now, it's like impossible to survive in most places, man. It really is. It's dark, and so this kind of like nostalgic feeling creates some type of it's like a safe space, it's like comfort. And it's a distraction too. Now I do believe there's a difference between being naturally nostalgic and seeking nostalgia as a type of therapy. And I see that a lot with Gen Z and the Y2K movement, right? Are you guys familiar with that? It's just tough because I get it, especially being someone who's just naturally nostalgic. And I ain't gonna lie, man, like experiencing some of this current super modern stuff, I can't help but want to dip back into the past and just kind of bask in some of that warm, fuzzy nostalgia, man. I love doing that, period. So you better believe in these moments of just like technocratic despair, it's going to be even more interesting and fun to just turn on an episode of Alf, you know what I'm saying, and just wig out. I love it. I'm all about it. I'm surrounded by vintage stuff, nostalgic, everything, man. Listen, man, I like old stuff. I love old stuff. So I mean, the state of capitalism only makes it worse, right? And listen, I know there's gonna be the and caps and all. Listen, I'm not getting into that whole capitalism, communism thing. I mean, we have a mixed economy. If anything, we have more of a socialist economy that's controlled by capitalistic elite, right? It's a mixed economy that's just designed to keep a very small percentage wealthy and everybody else borderline poor. That's where we're at, right? And it is what it is. I don't think communism is the answer, of course, but this ain't it, man. and then, yeah, not to do the old Scotsman or whatever, but this isn't real capitalism. I mean, real capitalism, free market capitalism, which I don't think actually works unless you have a moral society. Okay. Which we don't. But free market capitalism isn't this because, I mean, look what the Fed is doing. Constantly manipulating markets, constantly manipulating futures. That's not capitalism, man. I mean, come on. For all the Republicans and conservatives out there, that's not capitalism, bro. This is some weird technocratic socialist capitalism. This isn't designed to help anybody but the 1% and smaller. It's hard for everyone to survive. Even people making like what we would consider good money, like people bringing home a couple $100,000 a year, which is hey, that's great money. That's big money. not anymore. Well, depending on what kind of lifestyle you have, of course, and where you live. I mean, I know people, successful people that make good money and that are almost living check to check because of inflation and all types of taxes. Taxes are killing people, man. Yeah, plutocracy. There we go. That's the best term right there, Erica. So yeah, man, it's true. It sucks. And I think that's why we're going into the UBI. We're going into the digital economy. We're going into crypto. We're going into what is it called? Bionomics, right? Where we're going to be integrating with our currencies will be integrated with our biological systems. This is going to be new platforms to earn a living. And for many people, it's going to be great because it's going to pull us out of this messed up end stage, I call it next stage capitalism we're in right now. Because, it was always designed to fail, right? Like if you follow the history of it, it was always like falling off the cliff, It's shout out to the boomers, my parents included, they're boomers, y'all had the best experience, man. Y'all lived it up. And I'm not blaming anything on the boomers. I know that a lot of people do that. It's just the way the system was designed, and it's the way it was rolled out and implemented, and it's the way it was ran into the ground by design. These systems that control the economies and society, they just jump to the next. They just jump to the next system that can maintain their power. So now that the monetary system we've been experiencing, the fiat currency, physical tender, etc., centralized banking, this entire system now it's clearly no longer working, but it's time for it to go. So they're just going to switch over to the next system, which is the digital system. Boomers are doing it. Yeah, I guess that's a good point, B1, right? They are literally doing it. In that those people in power controlling the systems, running the systems are boomers. Yes, this is true. But when I mean, I don't want to blame the boomers. I mean the people the boomers outside of the industries, right? Just the general everyday boomers, just regular people, right? But at the same time, y'all lived it up, man. You guys, man, listen, you guys had it. Now, that's not everybody. I could say for my family, generally speaking, pretty much poverty, we wasn't having it that kind of way. But I just mean generally speaking, right? It was a different time for you guys. So, yeah, look at the prices of homes, of cars. Man, now that we're going to this topic, I wish I would have pulled these other clips, man. I got these clips, like this house, the guys who build homes, and they're talking about how overpriced the homes are and how bad the materials are now. And like new homes are using a lot cheaper quality materials and stuff. So we're not even getting the quality for what we're paying. And then you have to think about the younger people who are trying to buy homes. It's like, even if they do buy homes, they're probably going to get lower quality homes if they're brand new, and this is just one guy saying this. I don't even know if that's necessarily true, but it's interesting. Keep steady. Good to see you, bro. Been here since day one. That's a day oneer right there. Keep steady. Good to see you, man. It's possible that objectively art was more original, thus higher quality before info glut rehashing era. Absolutely. Yes, I agree, because it wasn't as derivative. Like today, internet culture can be cool and ironic and even just interesting because it's so absurd, because it's become this like kaleidoscopic derivative like expression where everything is mixed and juxtaposed and like put through a blender. So it's so randomized that you could pull some really interesting stuff out, right? And though it can be interesting and kind of cool at times, because I think Gen Z produces some pretty interesting art, I guess you can say it's not as original and it does have a lower quality, but again, that's subjective. But I agree with you. I think Infoglut has done two things at once. It's watered down originality and creativity, whilst at the same time, it's created a new type of art that is rather strange and absurd, but it's because it's just this mixture of things. Like the past, the present and futuristic ideas are all mixed together on the internet, right? And it just kind of makes some crazy stuff. But also, it's very derivative because people can just pull from so many different things. I would argue that it does change its authenticity or quality. But again, that's debatable because people could say, oh, we just have new tools now, you know? So that's actually an entire debate that's being had online right now and in academia that I'd like to discuss sometime, but it's a pretty dense and heavy kind of topic. And it's subjective, but at the same time, we're partial, right? Especially if we're older. If we're from the 90s, of course, we're going to always perceive earlier art is better. But then the younger generation say, no, you guys had less tools. You had less resources. You had less access, you know? So how could it be better? But again, it's subjective, yeah. Abadies says, I'm in extreme minimalist mode, so 8 can get away from the paycheck to paycheck. Oh, okay, you're talking to Hope. Let's see. Trying to catch up with you guys. Ooh, I like that Kangaskhan. All this tech is sharp and pointy, metaphorically. It's not soft, sweet, and personable. That's a very interesting point. I like the personable and the concept of soft, right? Which has a human element to it, right? And when we think of sharp and pointy, we think of inhuman, right? Inhuman or metallic. It reminds me of the Cybertruck. It doesn't look like something a human should operate, right? It's kind of cool looking if people want to, you know, get into the futuristic stuff, I guess. I'm personally not into it like that, but I get why people think it's cool just because it's different and looks like, you know, a robot. But yeah, it's cold. It's dangerous. It's pointy. Imagine if that thing backs into somebody. You know, you could cut somebody with that. You know, it's like in the Golden Child when Eddie Murphy, the little kid, picked his booger and he wiped it in his jacket. He said, "You better be careful. You know, that might cut you, dry up and cut you." Right? Yeah, one of them corners on that Cybertruck slice you a deep wound. But yeah, no, I agree. Right. It is a misfortune with the tech. Let's see, I'm trying to catch up. Oh, Dayz, you just described that perfect. Okay. That brings back good memories. Let's see. It's all ones and zeros, yeah. Very cold, right? Very sterile. It isn't to say you can't make cool stuff with you know, software and tech and all that, but I believe like metaphysically there's a human element that is missing more and more, especially as we get into the AI and we start like automating a lot of processes. Now, there's a difference between automating some processes to speed up workflow and automating the majority of processes such that you're not really producing anything. And I think that's the point we're getting to, which will remove the human element altogether, and things will become pure idea, right? Just pure idea. And I think a good example of that now is the prompt, right? So if you can create the best prompt, you can almost, at least there will come a point where you can make a whole movie with a prompt. Where's the creativity in that outside of the idea, right? And that's kind of scary for any artist to accept. Ooh, that's a good one, Valar. Civilization makes beasts of all of us. Or civilization makes beasts of us all. Yes, absolutely. Chivalry is nearing death. Yeah, I think it's pretty much dead. Yeah. I'm just sick of needing a phone to do a lot of things. Thankfully, it's not like that everywhere, but I'm just so sick and tired of everything being ran through an app. It's just not cool, man. Yeah, I don't want to download any app, you know, unless it's something that I think is valuable. It's not that I don't use applications, but there has to be some value there, some meaning there. If I just want to get a sandwich, you know, I gotta download your damn app just to get me a sandwich. Like, nah, bro, I'll go down the street. I'll just make my own at home. It's crazy. Oh, you guys are having some good conversations in here. Let's see. I think my chat just froze. Let me refresh. Kleptocracy. Rabo. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, a casual observer. Voluntarism. Yeah, I like the concept of voluntarism. I think it's ideal if it can work and function properly. I think it's probably one of the best options, but it's just tough, man, when you're in a fallen world with a lot of broken and fallen and satanic leadership. You know, they're never going to create an economy that's going to feed people properly. There's always going to be this slave master element, I think. We just have to figure out how to survive in it and maintain some semblance of security, health, truth, right? Yeah, 200K is still living check to check. Absolutely, Kyoko, especially if you're living in California. I do understand certain parts of the United States that could stretch quite a ways, but yeah, I mean, it's wild. It's getting harder and harder, man. But, you know, to be real here, there are going to be a lot of new opportunities. Now, it's just unfortunately, I think they might require certain losses of privacy and autonomy, you know, that most younger people won't even care about. But for those of us that are a little older, still connected to the idea of autonomy and personal autonomy and this idea of freedom, etc., we're not really going to want to be part of a lot of this stuff, man. Now, again, let's be honest. There are a lot of new ways to make money, especially online. You know, there are a lot of new opportunities. But my problem with that argument is it takes ingenuity, it takes creativity, but it also takes drive and real sincerity and discipline that is, in a sense, a bit hard to come by today in just the everyday young person. You know, and again, I think social media has helped distract them and move them away from what's important in life. And it's tough, man, because there are many opportunities out there today, especially digitally, but there's levels to it, man. And there still are the trades, though. The trades are still powerful and they always will be important. But again, that takes a physical type of concentration and determination and deliberation that also is hard to come by today. Especially young people aren't looking at trades as anything interesting for sure. Not to mention they're all seeing these influencers and streamers and stuff influencing them to want to do what they do. So there's that too. There's a war. There is a war on Gen Z. It's so true. Lower the bass. Is there a lot of bass on my voice, guys? Because I actually have my high pass filter almost cranked up all the way, which should reduce bass significantly. If anyone else is having bass issues, please let me know and I'll adjust it more. I'm assuming it might be your system, but let me see. Somebody let me know if there is too much bass. It's crazy because I have this high pass filter I have cranked up, man. I know Brother Reg would know exactly what I mean by that. Matter of fact, Reg, what do you think? Do I got too much bass on my voice, man? You're the engineer here. I'm just a squirrel trying to get a nut. Let me know. Okay, that sounds fine. All right. Good on my end. Okay. Yeah, that's the thing, man. We all are working with different machinery, different, setups, different volumes, different speakers and earphones and stuff. So yeah, it's so difficult to get anything really right. Unless you're a professional, which I am not. So I'm over here trying to learn all this stuff on my own. So yeah, I appreciate the patience, man. Yeah, Calvin, good point. This platform is rife with opportunities to make money, most parasitical, yes, and detrimental to real creators. Spot on. That's the trap, right? That's the trap. There are a lot of opportunities, but some of them will cause you to sell your soul and they'll eat you alive. Yeah. Need auto-tune.
Need some auto-tune? How about this? Does this work?
Or how about this one? How about this one? This one work?
Well, I kind of like this one, actually. Yeah. You're my boy, Blue. You're my boy. Oh, man. That's crazy. It's crazy. You're crazy. You're crazy.
Who knows that reference? You're crazy, man.
You're crazy, man. You're crazy.
Oh, man. Oh. That did sound like Barry White a little bit, didn't it? How do single parents survive in this economy? Good question. Yeah. Gosh, they don't. they barely survive, I'd say. Yeah, there we go. TBE. There we go.
You're crazy.
Yeah, Abidas. Yeah, you got it. Abides. I'm sorry, Abidas. Abides. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, Shawana. Yeah. Yeah, y'all know. I used to love that movie, man. I look back now, yeah, it's pretty degenerate, but man, it was funny. You know what else is really funny, man? Regardless of all the degeneracy, is that other film he was in, Step Brothers. Oh my goodness, that movie is crazy. That movie is so funny, man. It's silly. You got to be a little silly to like that film, but yeah, that movie had me rolling. Yeah, barely survive. Yeah. Yeah, Bane. I don't have. Actually, I could probably tweak out yeah, I actually could probably make that Bane voice. I would have to play with the levels because I have a bunch of different presets that I literally have to edit it, but I could probably create the Bane voice. I've been playing around with this thing, man. It's pretty cool. Yeah, I got some stuff coming for you guys, man. I've been in the lab cooking, so I got a lot of stuff over here. But it's been trying to do all this stuff at once, man. It's crazy. But it's good times. Eating ice cream, man. Ice cream sounds so good. I like, well, don't even get me started. I like so many flavors. Pralines and cream pralines and cream hits, man. That's I didn't start getting into it till later, but pralines and cream is something special, man. Jamoke almond fudge is cracking. I like some good old cookies and cream if I'm gonna be straight. Vanilla is good. I like vanilla bean, what is it, classic or traditional vanilla? With some brownies maybe. But if I'm gonna eat ice cream by itself, I'd very rarely eat vanilla unless I'm putting some chocolate fudge on it or something. But that's a bit too far. That's a bit too far. Maybe I shouldn't go there. But yeah, ice cream is one of my favorite foods for sure. Yeah, the thunderstorms. Yeah, Rocky Road, classic. Can never go wrong with Rocky Road. Absolutely. Rocky Road, cookies and cream, and chocolate fudge. I like chocolate, so chocolate fudge is just smacking. Straight smacking. And please, no one put mint chip in the chat for some reason. This is such a popular ice cream, and I don't get it. Like, it's crazy. Whenever I see these polls, it's always mint chip is like the top 5. What is the deal, y'all? It's not gross. I just don't understand. Somebody help me out, because I know somebody out there is loving on some mint chip. And sherbets. I don't do the sherbets, okay? That's like a name for a male. What is this sherbet? What is this stuff? What is that? I mean, I like, you know, you got yogurt, okay. You got Frosties, all right. And then you got, what's the 7-Eleven Slurpees. Where does the sherbet fit in all of this? Help me out. TBE says my wife hates mint chocolate. I don't get it. It's just weird. No disrespect. I know it's a very personal and private and subjective thing. Don't play with people's ice cream. I know. I'm just saying. What's up with the sherbet, though? Who likes this stuff? It's just strange. The texture. It's so sour. Man, my face be turning all kind of shapes. Now, maybe I'm overdoing it a bit. But, you know, what's the sherbet stuff? I know the people love it. It's huge. It's huge. It's very popular. I don't know, man. I'm not into the fruity stuff. Is it sherbet? Not a sorbet you're thinking of, right? It's sherbet, isn't it? Sherbet sounds like somebody's name. Why are you hating on sherbet? I knew it. I thought I was going to get somebody with the mint chip, but man, I got him with the sherbet. Don't play with people's ice cream. Let me tell you something. Don't play with people's ice cream. Them is fighting words. Them is fighting. Don't play with people's ice cream, man. I respect it. All you sherbet eaters out there, I respect you, and I respect your love for your sherbet. Stand on that. Stand on business.
Stand on business. I thought we were standing on business. Stand on business, young man.
Indeed. Respect, bows, and all of that to y'all. I know. Don't play with my ice cream, man. We go to war. I'll go to war for some creamy ice cream, for real. Not playing. Yeah, I love so much ice cream, though. I mean, I'm a lot better now. You guys know this. We've talked about this in the past. I've overcome. But man, some ice cream. I'm telling you. And let's not go into the food topic, guys, because we tend to do that over here. I already know how it gets started. It'll get started with some ice cream, or somebody start talking about barbecue, and before you know it, we just going in. So let's somebody bring something else up, man. Because I already know how it go. Italian ice cream, that's gelato, right? I believe that's gelato. Fantastic. It's delicious. It's so creamy and dense. When I get gelato, I'll get me a little bit of gelato time to time here and there, at least maybe once every several months. And I like is it double fudge or chocolate fudge? Oh man, it's smacking. Chocolate fudge, and I'll get a 2-scoop. I always get a 2-scoop. Because one flavor is just never enough. I always have to juxtapose, right? So I'll get the chocolate fudge, because I love chocolate. Chocolate fudge with the pistachio. Have you tried pistachio gelato? Somebody tell me. Pistachio gelato. Crack cocaine has nothing on pistachio gelato. I'm going to just put it out there. Somebody feel me. But yeah, that's what I go with. I go with a scoop of the chocolate fudge, because I like it dense and chocolatey and rich. And then I'll get that nice, light, just tasty pistachio. Man, I know, Calvin. I'm sorry, bro. Hey, by the way, how's your music going, man? Good to see you. Yeah, I smell barbecue right now. I barbecued yesterday, by the way. Yeah, I did me a nice little rack of beef ribs. I did me just one, because I only had one. I gotta go get me some more. One little ribeye steak, was a little dense too. It was kind of thick. And then I had me some Korean style barbecue short ribs. Yeah. And I whipped them things up. I'm telling you. Here we go. We've already started. Goodness gracious. Oh man. And forgive me, y'all. I still don't have the smoker. I don't have it yet. I'm working on it. I just want to get the right one, you know. And, you know, I don't do anything without a little research, of course. And I just yet to really get down and dirty with the research and figure out which one I want to roll with. Because once I get this thing, that's it. You know, I got the same barbecue or the same grill that I've had for years. And it's falling apart, by the way. I don't even want to show. I was going to show some, you know, cooking sessions on the Health Channel. I don't even want to show y'all this thing. It's embarrassing. I think I just need to give me a new one because this thing falling apart. It's decrepit as hell, but it cooks well. I'm telling you. Yes, I had me some Korean style short ribs. I had me a rack of beef ribs and one steak. And man, we went to town. Yeah, we did. We went to town. And, you know, I keep it simple, man. You know, sometimes I go a little further with it, but yeah, you know, I just put a couple Japanese sweet potatoes on the grill, you know, butter, you know, seasoning or what have you. And I grilled me some red, yellow, and orange peppers, bell peppers. And yeah, let's see what else. Oh, and then I just took 2 full onions, cut them in half, and just throw them on a grill and let them sit. And just let them sit there. And you give them a little time. And they're all welted and swollen, you know, when the heat and the juice mix together, they swell up. You get the little nice dark brown and a little, don't try not to get it black, but it happened. Man, you just let them things swelter in there. Yeah, buddy. And then you just take the whole onion. And you know what I like to do? Then I take it out. Well, I cut it in half. I put the whole onion, cut it in half, and just put the halves in there. Whole damn thing.